What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Season Gaming Bitcast episode 279, coming to you from a very frigid morning here in Kansas City. But it's going to be a great show today. We got our full panel. We're almost exactly on time for a change going live here. And today we're going to be talking about, we've got Prince of Persia, we've got Xbox Developer Direct, if I can speak. We've got the games of early 2024 to preview. And of course, we are finally going to ask the whole panel, all four of us, the questions that you have raised for us over the past few weeks. So we have quite a few to go through. It should be a good time, and there's definitely some funny ones in the mix. So I am your host, Ainsley Bowden, joined by three of my favorite people, to be honest with you. The man, the myth, the legend, who's coming dressed as he's in Kansas City this morning. Mr. Rodriguez, how we doing, man?
It's too damn cold. It's too damn cold.
The rent is
Started the car this morning. I was like, oh man, this is crazy.
Yeah, so if you're not aware from wherever, because I know we have a global audience, it is -9 degrees Fahrenheit here, which I don't know what that is Celsius, like -20 something.
I saw Taylor Swift look cold last night. I did.
And yes, the wind chill it was last night was -29 Fahrenheit again. Regardless, the Chiefs fans were out, and the Chiefs kind of dominated that game. So Kansas City's a happy place at the moment right now anyway.
Yeah. There's mostly people from Raytown who never get to go to the games because they usually get priced out. Feel bad for those people, but they enjoyed it and they brought it, man. I really expected like 5 people at that
yeah, place. It was of course
popping.
Yeah,
man.
it was loud and it seemed to be a good time. So, it is what it is. But yes, good for them.
Sorry, Dolphins fans.
Sorry, Dolphins fans. Yes. Next, we have a gentleman who became a Michigan fan just a couple weeks ago. The bandwagon himself, my friend, Mr. Hogue, the fan, I mean, if you want to call it that, of the national champion Michigan Wolverines. How we doing, my friend?
20 years of garbage that I lived through. And yes, I've been along with the Michigan Wolverines for a long time. Neither my head coach nor my starting quarterback will commit to returning next year, so we'll see how it goes. But for right now, they're national champs. Go Blue.
There you go.
Gluttonous weasels.
What?
What?
Gluttonous weasels, Wolverines.
Oh, gluttonous weasels. I didn't hear the words that came out. Yeah, that was fun.
That's their like scientific name means gluttonous weasel. I'm pretty sure. I could be misremembering that, but I read a lot of National Geographic as a kid, and I know a lot of scientific names for animals.
And of course, last but certainly not least, we like to refer to him around here as our fancy YouTuber, Mr. Tie Guy Travis. How we doing?
Fancy YouTuber.
He's reacting to the word YouTuber, not fancy.
Yeah, that's actually true. Yeah, my face is like, ugh, YouTuber, gross. Yeah. We hate what we hate in ourselves. Is that smart? Did I sound smart at all?
You're very smart, Travis.
No, I'm not. Shut up, you. It's good week. Good to be back in games. Seeing people play Prince of Persia. I haven't played that one, but I'm playing games. Hi guys.
So good.
I have played Prince of Persia. The demo is available, folks.
Yes, demo is out.
I forgot about the demo.
Yeah. And it actually, from what I understand, I haven't played the demo, but from what I understand, it gives you a few different sections of the game that you can kind of experience too. So I could be wrong about that, but anyway. All right. So of course, oh no, I forgot to do something. I forgot to pull in Tide's picks from this morning so that I could put them up on the screen. You're gonna have to bear with me 1 second. But yeah, I will start talking about Prince. Go ahead. What'd you say?
So what do we got this week with our AI?
We have I don't know what you would describe this as, actually. So let me go ahead and get this up.
Question answering faces, right?
Question answering faces.
Oh,
okay.
QA faces. Interesting. I don't know what to expect. Are all of our faces been morphed into question marks? That would be cool.
No.
No, but my face is not big enough for my head.
I would say
Wow.
that's true in real life too. Wow, they really think my head is big. Jeez. Also, my favorite thing about this is that Ains has so many questions. The rest of us, we got a little questioning, but he's a very confused man over there. Lots of questions.
I think it's accurate, if I'm honest.
It is,
I have a
man.
lot of questions. Dan, I
Honestly,
think that's a good look for you. That's the
But
best
wait,
you've
here's-
looked in a while, Dan.
Here's the
That's a great-
problem, though, right? My eye bags are so bad that they thinks I have glasses. That's
I didn't realize Wyatt had
I
done
thought
that.
it was glasses.
They are
Honestly,
glasses, but I don't wear glasses. So my eye
Honestly-
bags apparently are, the little half sex. Wow.
You honestly, you next to Ains, you look like it's Ains and then intelligent, sophisticated Ains right next to him. I like that a lot. Hogue, you look like Elmer Fudd on a first date. You know, he took off the hat. He decided to settle down. It's good for him, man.
Yeah, I
Why
don't think
does
I
he
have
have
a
a
shirt
white
like that.
dimple on his right eye? Like, is that a
Yeah.
tear or is that just a mark?
No, it's a reflection, right? It's like it's a way to do anime.
I like this.
Wow.
So is that
Okay.
is that why I look a little Asian? It's the anime thing. Is that
Yeah.
what we're going for here? It's an anime style.
It's
Travis, you look adorable.
Yeah, adorable,
Yeah,
Travis.
I went full chibi. I don't know what's up with that on my
You're
side.
bobbleheaded.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. If I were an AI, I'd be like, all right, that's actual size of his head. Big old noggin on this guy.
I like it. You look like a bobblehead or a Funko Pop.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Travis
it's
Funko Pop.
good. My Funko
it's good
Pop is
stuff.
also just my regular action figure. It's a good time.
Ty, thank you as always for the weekly amusement. All right, boys. I know we are not going to go 3 hours today because we actually have a stop. So we're going to go ahead and get right into it. Kicking off with what we're currently playing, let me talk to you about Prince of Persia. I will keep this relatively brief considering you can watch my review or read my review. The video goes up tomorrow. So Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, returning to 2D Prince of Persia. If you don't know, this is from Ubisoft Montpellier, which is the prior developers of Rayman Origins and Legends, among other games. Fantastic 2D pedigree, and it shows through and through. So it is a full-blown Metroidvania game, and it's much longer than you may initially anticipate. The map just gets bigger and bigger, and it just keeps going. It's a long game. So put about 22-ish hours into it with plenty of other side content still to do and find if I want to. Fantastic game. I gave it a 9, which is, obviously really high on our scale. And it has very, very few flaws. It's just super well polished. Combat is interesting. The abilities are interesting. You find all sorts of things to kind of customize your character. You can almost do like unique builds depending on how you like to play the game. It has large, very almost anime or Souls-like boss encounters as you get later into the game, which are incredibly impressive from a kind of artistic direction and design. Tells not heartwarming, but it tells a story that is more has more heart than I would have imagined for the game itself, with some kind of meaningful characters and some things that happen over the course of the game. So I was just incredibly impressed. I had to grind this one out, but I wouldn't call it a grind at all. It's one of those games where you pick it up and it's just the cadence of delivery of the things it gives to you. It's constant drip feed of just new things to find, new things to discover, new abilities, new places to go, and just keeps you playing. So it's a fantastic game. I would highly, highly recommend it, especially if you enjoy Metroidvanias. In my opinion, it's probably, and obviously there's tons of Metroidvanias nowadays, but it's the best one I've played. I was telling some people since Will of the Wisps, which I hold really high up. I actually think it's a better game, in my opinion, than Metroid Dread. I love
I was
Dread.
going to ask about Metroid Dread because that's been my favorite over the last few years.
Yeah, me too. I really like Dread since Will of the Wisps. And I really like Dread, and I obviously still do. It's a fantastic game, but I think this is a better game. I really do. It's you can play it, has more kind of customization in the way you can play it. It has more, like in Metroid Dread, it has a couple of those boss battles which are really kind of cinematic and grand and memorable.
Mm-hmm.
Prince of Persia has like 3 times the amount of those. It has several more, and I don't know. I just enjoyed it through and through. So highly recommended. Happy to answer any questions, but my review is up on the site. They had this weird, which Travis knows well, they had this weird kind of split early access embargo. So reviews could go up on the 11th, but if you wanted to show anything in video or streaming more than like the first quarter of the game, you had to wait until the 15th. They wouldn't allow you to show anything beyond that, a certain boss. So we actually waited, and our video goes live tomorrow. Just because, no spoilers, but just because we wanted to show more of the abilities and the platforming, because as you get later in the game, some of the platforming and the level design gets really complex. It really will test your capabilities.
That's what I was going to ask you about, because the combat, even in the demo, was much more technical than I had anticipated, right? So Symphony of the Night, Metroid Dread, whatever, is mostly I'm going to deal with these things with a button press, and we're going to go on, and the environmental exploration is the real progress barrier to figuring out how to get through these. But the combat, and even in the demo, where I presume you don't have much of any access to all the things that are in the game, was still pretty technical. Is this a technical game?
Very, especially later. Yeah, I had a buddy DMing me last night saying, "How the hell do I get past this?" So later in the game, as you get the new abilities, it requires you to use those abilities to get through certain sections. And there's some very complex platforming and combat, especially some of the bosses. I was messaging someone last night saying, once you get to some of those later bosses, I can see people are going to rage. Some of them are pretty hard.
My immediate thought playing the demo was, I understood why Souls fans liked this game. I'm not sure that's me. I'll probably get it, but I'm not sure that I will love it as much as you. I'm sorry, Travis?
Do you feel that way about Ori?
I didn't wind up feeling that way about Ori, but I don't think I got to like the end states of Ori. I'd have to think about how far I got in that game.
Yeah, some of the later parts of Will of the Wisp get pretty challenging too, I would say. The nice thing I wrote in my review about this one is it has, I believe, 5 difficulty options slider, and it has a ton of accessibility features. So you can put on like things that allow you to overcome platforming sections that you may not be able to do. It'll put on guidance for you if you're not sure where to go, and all kinds of things. So I think that it's designed to be able to be played by a vast audience, even if you have to use some of the things to help you. So
I know a lot of people liked it. The reviews are very good.
Very strong. Yeah. And the funny thing, I was joking with someone yesterday. So I have obviously the achievement. It's funny. I don't have the achievements in the early game because when I first started playing it, they weren't active. So I don't have any achievements from the start, but I have all the end game ones. But the beating the final boss of the game still on Xbox right now, even though all the reviews are out, is at 1.2%. I was like, okay, not many people have beaten this who have played it. So, but anyway, it's an excellent game. Definitely check it out if you have any interest at all.
It seemed pretty cool, and the demo is available. There were 2 big demos this week, both of which I liked. But check out Lost Crown. The other demo I played this week was, I'm going to get this wrong, Granblue Fantasy Relink. Is that the right order of words?
I think so.
So that's like a Tales type RPG game coming out of what I think is a fighting game franchise, right? Is that what Granblue was?
I know there are some. I'm not an expert on the series. I know there are fighting games in the series, but I don't know if they're all fighting games. I'm not sure.
See, I lean on you all to know more than me.
But on this one, it's not me. Elu can tell us.
It's a very colorful Japanese role-playing game. And y'all should check it out because, again, the demo is available. I love it when demos are available. I'm always going to be in favor of demos for especially new games that I'm not familiar with. And so Lost Crown, Granlink, you don't have to take our word for it. Check out the demos. But I think it's a very exciting January for 2024 already.
No doubt. So they, Rick and Elu said, Granblue was originally a mobile web RPG. There was 2 RPGs previously, but it has a fighting game as well because it's based on an IP. So it's very well known for the fighting game, but it, has RPG roots as well.
That makes sense. Even the fighting game that I knew had like very detailed fighters in it. So if it comes from an existing IP, that makes sense.
Yeah. All right. What else you been playing, boys? We'll get through what we've been currently playing before we get caught up on the messages and super chats here.
I have only one Hogs Notes type game this week, but I really, really like it. I think it's a couple of years old, but has anybody on this panel played the game Noia?
No.
Don't think so.
Okay, so it's a it's a game structured like a visual novel with time loops in it, where every loop you wind up playing a game of Werewolf or Mafia or Among Us, if you're more familiar with the video game side of things. So it's a single player game, but you're all in a room trying to figure out who the two betrayers are, essentially, who are known as Noia. And so you get assigned a role as crew or Noia or engineer or doctor or one of these other things that can happen. And over the time of the loops, you get more and more different things to evaluate as whose roles are whose, and the same players play in the game every time. But if you like those games, if you like Among Us, if you like Werewolf or Mafia or whatever else, whatever version of that you wind up playing at your local parties, it's a very interesting take on it from a single player perspective with an ongoing story as the loops progress that you try to figure out what's going on. And it's pretty addictive. I've had a lot of fun with it. I think it came out a couple years ago, but I got it this week. It was featured in one of the like Nintendo Switch news blasts that you get where they highlight some of the games in the eShop. And so I'm playing it on the Switch. But if that sounds good to you at all, check it out. Noia. It's a really weird game that is very compelling.
Social deduction games are cool.
Yeah, and I never would have thought you could pull it off on a single player kind of basis. And they use, a doubt or cover or defend or argue as kind of overall orders that you give your character in these arguments. And it's trickier than playing it with real people. It's not as good as playing it in a room with real people, but it's impressive that they were able to do it at all, I think.
It's interesting.
Cool.
I do appreciate, Hogue, the vastness of the games that you try, because a lot of these kind of lesser known games that you speak of I wouldn't have heard of otherwise, so I appreciate that.
Well, and the Hogue's notes that don't get mentioned are also being tried, but I don't want to bring them up. They're not good enough for folks to try on their own.
And I, on the other hand, only bring up the ones that aren't good enough to try. That's my
because you're forced to review them.
My beat, yeah. Playing new games, and I'm one of those guys who kind of gets bored of old games really quickly. So it's the good way to live, man. Hogue and I are birds of a feather in that regard. I've actually been playing an old game though, which is a game IGN might do a re-review for, but I reviewed it originally when it was in its early access state, which is
Destiny.
Disney Dreamlight Valley. Close.
Okay.
Yeah, close.
Pretty much the
it's
same
like
thing.
it's like Destiny, but with Disney characters. Yeah.
Donald Duck going nuts in a Destiny environment. That would be a mod.
That's true. I mean, he goes into that rage where he spittles everywhere. So that's sort of like I guess that's his super. I don't know.
I think he casts Zeta Flare in Kingdom Hearts. So hey, what are you gonna
that's
do?
true. Yeah, if you give him his Kingdom Hearts loadout, all of a sudden he's S tier. Isn't he canonically the greatest mage in the Kingdom Hearts universe or something like that? I can't remember.
I mean, since the Kingdom Hearts universe is technically the Square universe, he might be the strongest magic wielder in Final Fantasy. But
yes, exactly. That is correct. He's the strongest magic user in Final Fantasy canon, which is awesome, and scary that a pantless duck could harness so much power. Yeah,
put that on a shirt, folks.
Yeah. So Disney Dreamlight Valley has changed a lot. First, it is no longer in early access. It's a game that you can, I believe, play for free, and then because it was supposed to launch into free to play, and then you can buy cosmetics and then also expansions. And the first major expansion came out for it called Eternity Isle, which anybody can play. It's not pre-release or anything like that, but it is something that IGN actually didn't get the chance to review Disney Dreamlight when it came to its 1.0, just because we'd already reviewed it in early access and not a ton had changed. But now that it's got an expansion, we're thinking about doing it. So I played through all of the content in Eternity Isle. It's more of Disney Dreamlight if you were into that stuff. So
it's a good cozy game.
It's a good cozy game. Very, very fun. They also added some multiplayer stuff, which I was pretty surprised to see. It's nothing fancy. It's basically just the most basic possible version of like do you want to visit another player's town and not be able to basically do anything there except for see what their town looks like?
Do you want to see what actually creative people can do with these tools?
Exactly. Yeah. Do you want to see somebody's house that isn't somebody's world that isn't a junkyard with one large garden for farming money? Yeah, that's a good one. But yeah, it's a cool game, and we'll see if I get to review it. And then I can't talk about any of the other stuff I'm playing, but I've got some cool preview coverage of existing live service games that I'll be able to talk about soon. I've got an early access game I'm reviewing that Christopher Jetzer wants to know about that I cannot talk about. But I think next week will be the first time I can talk about both of the things that I've been spending a lot of time doing in the early year. So excited to do that. And today I'm just chilling and waiting to talk about stuff. It's that weird adolescent time of year where I have a bunch of stuff I'm working on, but it's not quite ready for prime time with you guys. So good times.
All good.
It's January. Can I say personally, I'm really enjoying watching Dan drink from his cup because it's so Iowa looking that I just have to drink from mine every time.
Can you guys do the Alan Wake synchronized swigging together?
Nope. I don't think so. It's very impressive.
No, not gonna do it.
I tried to get them to do it.
You tried.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I wasn't really paying that much attention. I said Iowa, and I was kind of glossing over everything. I've been playing Rogue Trader some more, and that's it.
Good game.
Yeah, it's very good. I got to kind of
Did you finish it?
No, I hit kind of a snag. I think I'm I'm pretty close to the end. Very, very hard difficulty spike with this one battle, and it's just I have to go back and respec everything, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. But it's fine. It's my fault. I made poor builds, apparently. Mostly because I just kind of again glossed over stuff. That's just me. There's so much to read, and I just God, I can't read anything anymore. It's too much. So I just started picking random skills. So I got to go back and do stuff. And then I started
that can't be a functional method.
No, it's not. I was all right about 2/3 of the way through, and then all of a sudden I was like, God, how does this go with this? There's so many. I was just like, nah, this is it sounds familiar. Like I have this skill. This somehow improves that skill. I'm just gonna take that one, and that's where I'm at this point. So it's nice. And then I just started playing Hogwarts Legacy again for some reason. I was like, man, I felt like
that's just how it is. You go back, I remember liking that.
Yeah, fun game to just run around
just mess around, right? Yeah, that's all I'm doing.
Yeah,
I started playing Sackboy yesterday again, just for the hell of it.
A break.
Which?
Travis's favorite, Sackboy.
Oh, Sackboy.
Started playing that again yesterday. Which, by the way, reminded me of how bad the initial integration between PS4 and PS5 was, because I reviewed that game and I reinstalled it yesterday, and it was like, you haven't played this game. And I'm like, what the hell happened? Wow. So apparently all my progress was on the PS4 version, even though they're the same game. So I installed the PS5 version yesterday, and it was like, yeah, you haven't played this. I was like, okay, I'll play it again.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hilarious that Sackboy is a sack, but he can't contain your save data. Fool.
Oh man, good game though. Good game, man. All right, let's get caught up. We got a bunch of super chats and member comments to get through here. Let's get them.
Dear Lord, a lot of them. Random name, member for 12 months. Thank you, random name. Good day, everyone. Indiana Jones, super excited.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that here shortly. Mm-hmm. And random name beat Googleman to the punch this morning by a solid 10 minutes. I mean, that's not even really a race. Yeah.
All right. $4.99 super chat. Anyone hoping for some surprise game announcements from the Direct? I feel like there's more than 4 at the showcase. I don't expect any shadow drops.
Yeah. Well, last year I believe there were 5 games, and I think there was 4 and then a question mark that they unveiled to be Hi-Fi Rush, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. And then this year I think they're just showing 4 boxes. So either they've changed their secret reveal to be even more secret, or they don't have a 5th, which is my presumption. I am interested though, if you guys think based on the fact that last year all of the games featured in their January showcase came out that year.
Yes.
Does that mean Indiana Jones is coming out this year?
Yes.
Noise.
Nice. Yeah.
As the kids say, noise.
I didn't expect it initially because I think we've been talking about how far along is indie, but the kind of stuff swirling from the stuff swirling out there is that this game is far further along than people realize. And in fact, in the Xbox press release for this event on Thursday, they said there's going to be 10 minutes of Indiana Jones with Machine Games. So obviously they're going to show quite a lot of it.
What did Machine Games do prior to this?
Wolfenstein. So they are experts at story-based games about killing Nazis. They have my vote.
It's just a whip instead of a gun. You know what I mean?
Come on. Man. And a gun.
And a gun. Yeah.
Got a little revolver. Yeah.
Nice.
Just fewer bullets and more puzzles, I'm guessing. But yeah. I mean, if you were to ask me, Travis, what do you think the top studios are to work on an Indiana Jones game? Machine Games would be pretty up there.
I would have said
Machine
Crystal
Guns.
Dynamics.
What's that?
I would have said Crystal Dynamics.
They've changed a lot though in the past few years. I don't know if that's still the case.
They're a little.
They've lost a lot of people.
For some reason, their games always feel like, I don't know if this is a legit criticism, but it's just something that kind of niggles at the back of my mind, is like games that feel too kind of like, what do you call it? Like a
where are you going here?
Too like group focus grouped. You know what I mean?
We need the action word. You think they're too made by management.
Yeah, they're too focus tested, and they feel just like really bland, don't take risks, follow the formula of like Naughty Dog, but not Naughty Dog. Templated kind of stuff.
I think the Tomb Raiders were very good.
Tomb Raiders were great when they came out, but I feel like if you did that same thing today, you'd probably get flayed alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah. My wheelhouse, you mean, is what you're talking about. It's my
a little bland when I think of the Crystal Dynamic games of yore.
You're speaking my love language, man. That's all you're doing.
We got great.
Yeah.
Well, the thing I like about Machine Games is they're a little unexpected, a little unhinged. They kind of remind me of a little bit of Remedy. You know, they're kind of trying stuff and
they'll go a little crazy with it. Yeah,
stuff. You go a little weird,
which is fine.
I always appreciate. Yeah.
Random name. Thank you for the super chat, Googleman, of course.
Yeah, with the €5. Thank you, Googleman. Good to see you this morning. CES just wrapped. Who's getting the Shift Robotics Moonwalkers and Samsung Ballet? Don't know what either of those things are. Also, Liquid Death Austrian Water is finally available in the EU.
Okay. Yeah, Liquid Death is kind of everywhere.
CSS is bleeding edge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So CES.
I know the Shift Robotics stuff. Okay, I knew that. That's the VR thing that you put on your feet that makes you like you're walking, but you're not actually moving anywhere. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, they have like a million iterations of those already, but that is another one. Yeah.
And Liquid Death, I've never had it. I see it all the time. It's everywhere, but it's just like energy water or something, right? Like, what is it?
Just water. It's just water. It's water that is better for you, apparently.
$5 water.
$5 water that'll kill you? Okay, sure.
Nah, it won't kill you. It's weirdly...
It's on the label.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's false advertising. Look, California's about to ban it. Okay.
There you go.
So it must be good.
Away. No, I'm joking.
Enjoy it with your Skittles.
We're not. Skittles are so mid. Who cares? Ban away, I say. If we can get that EU formula, let's do it, man. That's what I say. Get that EU formula in the States.
It's never going to happen, sadly. Rick Davis with the member comment. Thank you, Googleman. Appreciate you.
Yeah, morning, guys. Anyone going to check out Granblue Fantasy Relink? Love the demo. It reminds me of the Tale series. Oh, that's interesting. Been watching the anime too.
You already got your answer, sir.
You got your answer. I think from a seasoned gaming side, Rick, Alex, I think signed up to review that one, so we should have a review on that as well.
Beautiful.
All Ricks play that game. Everyone named Rick. ever. That
It's a requirement when you get named
Yeah.
Rick. You have
Your
to be a
name's Rick?
Granblue fan.
You're playing Granblue Fantasy Relink. That's just what I think of when I think of the name Rick.
It's a heck of a title.
Yeah.
It's fair. WW.
Debbie with the $5 super chat. Hello, everyone. I hope that you all have a great week. Those in the cold, please stay safe and warm. I am trying to do both.
We are
Appreciate
trying,
it.
Debbie.
Yeah.
We are
Yeah.
trying.
55 degrees in SF. Thank you.
Bundle up, my friend.
Appreciate it.
Debbie, thank you so much. Fat Boy R in the house.
Fat Boy Horror with the £5. Morning, boys.
More
Have
non.
a
More
good
noon.
chat. Or more noon.
More noon.
No, that's more non. That's more non, dude.
That's more non. I'll take some more non, but you know.
That's when you say
It's a good thing the
a
end's
good
there. I thought it was saying moron, boys, for a second.
Yeah,
I
no,
was like, wait.
that's actually what you say when you're trying to say good morning to a bunch of morons. You say mornon. It's a good time saving tip.
It's gotta be an English thing. Have a good chat. Prince of Persia is amazing. Can we get back some more 80s/90s games? I mean,
Oh yeah.
Do we need them?
Right. That's my thing. We don't.
We already
need
got them. We got them.
Yeah.
You can
Yes,
go and
we
play
need 'em.
80s. You can play 80s
Come
and 90s games whenever you want.
Yeah, go
Play
play
the old
'em.
ones.
Yeah.
I will
What if
say
we bring
that
them up to speed though? Like that's why we like Prince of Persia. We also have Last of Us Part 2 remastered coming out this week, right? We're not going to
Why
talk
did
too
that
much about that.
That actually
Or
needed to come
none.
back though. That needed
Didn't
to.
even mention it.
It's been gone too long.
to Fat Boy's point, the one thing about I did like about Prince of Persia, very easy to just pick up and get back into it, 5-10 minute stints. You know, I do miss some of that with some of the bigger games, but that's, you know, you can still find that today. It's just different avenues.
Games that aren't always online and have a pause button. Gross.
Fat Boy, thank you for the super chat. Cherry C Mills, new member. Thank you very much, Cherry. Detective Seeds in the house.
Detective Seeds with a $20 super chat. Well, $19.99. Good morning, gentlemen. Hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Thanks,
Thank you,
Detective Seeds.
Yep, super nice guy.
3
As I
day
always say,
weekend?
3-day weekend. Yes.
3 day weekend.
Seeds
That's
did a
lawyers.
review on Prince of Persia as well. He's a content creator as well that I talked to behind the scenes. Good dude. Definitely check his stuff out if you want to see some other reviews. Thank you, brother. And Vintage Willow in the house.
Yeah, she's late, but made it. Catching up.
Catching
Thank
up,
you, Willow.
and she gifted, 10
10
memberships.
Look at you.
Thank you.
I know. She's
Crazy.
out of control.
Subs.
She's out of control. Thank you so much, Willow.
10
Always
subordinates.
appreciate
That's what I assume sub stands for. You're all now her subordinates.
Nice.
Maybe that's why she does it. See, you know.
Yeah.
Could be.
All
It's a
right.
Pyramid scheme.
All right. So a couple topics to get to before we get to the Bitcast questions, which I know we've got a bunch submitted. So announced for Thursday, January 18th at 12 Pacific, 3 Eastern, 8 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, the Xbox Developer Direct 2024. So as we mentioned briefly earlier, they're showing 4 games, or at least have announced that they're showing 4 games. They're going to be showing Indiana Jones with a big focus on that, 10 minutes with Machine Games. They're going to be showing Avowed, the update from Obsidian there. We're showing Hellblade 2 yet again from Ninja Theory, of course. And they're showing Aura History Untold, which is probably the lesser known of these 4 games. But if you don't know who this is made by Oxide Games, which is a new studio, but it's from veterans of the industry, including the creators of Civ 5. So this is a real-time strategy game that, has a lot of kind of strong development pedigree behind it. So what are you boys looking forward to specifically out of these 4, if anything? Are you kind of hyped for this show, or just kind of like, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I think seeing what Indiana Jones actually looks like is going to be exciting for everybody.
Sure.
The game that I'm most interested in is actually Era. I like Oxide. They're newish, but they're not brand new. They've been doing strategy games on the PC for a long time. And so I think that could be cool. I've wanted to see strategy kind of reimagined for console a little bit more than just Civilization kind of pretending that it can be a console game. So hopefully they can come up with something that's really cool for consoles. But that's the one I'm looking forward to. Avowed, I kind of stepped back from when it came out all piratey. I don't remember when that was, a few months ago. It really wasn't what I was looking for from Avowed. So I don't know about that one. In Hellblade 2, I mean, release
Enough.
already.
Enough. I mean,
I'm
that's
hoping
fine.
we get a release date, as we said, which
Yeah.
Travis alluded to earlier. The expectation is that these games are releasing in 2024. So I'm hoping we get the release date for Hellblade 2, because I think we're all ready for that one at this point.
Yeah.
Well, and on the non-gaming side, it's an odd time for the Indiana Jones project to be finishing up, right? Because Dial of Destiny was not a success for Disney. Disney's going through all sorts of trouble there. So I don't know what kind of cachet the Indiana Jones brand has amongst people playing video games anyway. So, I mean, we'll see.
I watched Temple of Doom last night.
Classic.
So-
So that should make the market then.
It's one of my favorite
Pretty good
movies as a kid.
cachet. Dude,
One
that
of my
movie
favorite movies as a kid.
rules. That movie's
does.
aged like fine wine. Great movie.
I've watched that movie so many times.
Because I think
even
that was
had-
my. I
Go
think
ahead,
that was
sorry.
my least favorite when I was a kid. I don't know why. It was just sort of like a weird middle
Audience
child in between
pleasing.
the two movies where he was fighting the Nazis. But I'm rewatching them, and Raiders because D's never seen them. I don't know if I told you guys this, but D has seen 0 movies, like none of them. It's like a blank slate. So I just got
Like
to show her
indie or just like a bunch of classics?
she hasn't seen like The Godfather. Like I got to show her like the Godfather trilogy for the first time. Like she just not seen any movies.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm showing her the Indiana Jones movies right now, and for some reason, Temple of the Doom hit a lot harder than it did when I was young.
I like that you said Temple of Doom. It was my least favorite as a kid, and I was thinking, well, when I was a kid, it just came out, so the third one wasn't even out yet.
That is horrifying. I don't know. To me, those movies have always been out. There's always been 3 VHSs just forever. So, but yeah, those movies are raw. I don't know. I think Indiana Jones has a certain. It's exciting, and we haven't gotten enough Indiana Jones games. Was the last Indiana Jones game really that original Xbox One?
That was a good game.
was-
I still have
Well, I
it.
mean, I think the last Indiana Jones game was realistically Uncharted 4. And then you've got the Crystal
Come on.
Dynamics Tomb
Come
Raiders.
on.
No, I mean,
Come on.
those are obviously Indiana Jones games.
Yeah,
They're
but
inspired.
4, Uncharted 4, that is the Last of Us game, sir.
I understand. We've
Yeah.
talked about that in this space.
I think
but
he meant
Uncharted
last
as a
as in
series is
chronologically.
Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to your point, I think the point is valid that we don't have like an Indiana Jones game in any recent memory that we point to as being quality. There's Fate of Atlantis, the classic PC game, and there's I forget the name of the Xbox One. It's literally sitting over there. I forget the name of it, but those are considered good games. But there's not many others to point to.
Fate of Atlantis is fantastic. But again,
Yeah.
Fate of Atlantis was an action adventure game, right? So it was like the old LucasArts.
Yeah, it's going way
Click on
back.
open, click on door.
Yeah,
And I think that lends itself a little bit better to Indiana Jones than a straight kind of corridor shooter. So my hope is that Indiana Jones does not come out and look like Wolfenstein. My hope is that it looks
Yeah.
like something new and different.
more
I
adventurous.
don't think it will. I don't think it will look like Wolfenstein. I think you have to do well. First of all, it's their first third-person game, if I'm not mistaken. Right? They've already said it's third person, and then
I don't
it's also
remember.
Neither do I.
yeah. I don't think Machine Games has ever done a third-person game, if I'm not mistaken. And then my guess would be that there's a lot more like investigation / exploration /
Yeah, there needs to be puzzles and tomb raiding.
yeah puzzles and yeah exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing it would be a lot less like a shooting than an Uncharted game or what have you. I mean, are you
Or
going to be hiding?
Wolfenstein game. I hope so.
Oh, for sure. Well, I mean, Wolfenstein doesn't even have reloads, so yeah, that'll be. Is that true? Wolfenstein doesn't have reloads, right? They went like the Doom style of just like you shoot forever, or did it have reloads? I kind of don't remember reloading in that game.
I
Is that
don't
weird?
remember.
God,
Yeah.
forever.
That's a
Pretty
sign of a good
solid.
game if you don't remember reloading. You know what I mean? That's a pretty good sign. I hate reloading in games. I don't know if I've
Garbage.
gone on this monologue before. I hate it. It's
Rick
just
said
like
it has reloads.
it does have
Instead of
reloads.
checking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then it's
Yeah,
garbage.
yeah.
By the way, Rick said Emperor's
What's
Tomb
garbage?
was the Xbox indie game.
Yes.
Emperor's
So I
Tomb.
actually played that game kind of recently because it became backwards compatible on Xbox.
You can play it on your Series
randomly.
X today. Yeah.
Yeah, and it runs at like 200 FPS or something insane like that. That game's, I mean, I'm sure it was good when it came out. It has not aged well.
It's dated
hard
now,
pretty hard to play that game. And I did not play it when it was originally out, so I don't really have any attachment to it. But I'm hankering for a Indiana Jones game. I think if it's a good game, it's a good game, and indie could use the good press these days. So
That's for sure.
I mean, I think we like, I won't speak for all of us, but we like Indy as a character because, you know, we grew up with him and everything, right? But even if you don't, the foundation of what Indy is, as you guys said, with exploration and tomb diving and all those other things, it works well for a video game. So there's no reason why, if it's, to your point, Travis, if it's a quality game, it'll be fun for a bigger audience.
But I still think they need to nail that, right? Because the part that we love Indiana Jones for is because of the character building. The character does the settings, the music. You know, John Williams. You know, it's a lot of stuff that goes into those games, or into those movies that will hopefully translate into the game. You know, I think the gameplay they can probably figure out no problem. It's just going to be getting that feeling that you're Indiana Jones. Right, and putting yourself in their shoes, that's going to be a big thing, I think.
What happens if they nail it, but you're actually 80-year-old Indiana Jones?
No, well then that's fine.
No,
wheelchair around.
I mean,
like,
I mean, they made me care about Blazkowicz, which I feel like is a tough call. There's no like cachet or rep really with that character, and they also prove that they're pretty good at like bringing together a ragtag group of like really weird fringe characters and making you like them. So I think their story chops are being underestimated, and story is going to be, I think, really important in the game. And I kind of have a good feeling about this game for some reason. I think it's going to be pretty good. I also tend to think that games that don't show a lot, that have big budget and that don't show you a lot, it's because they kind of have like an ace up their sleeve. Like they're like, yeah, we know this is going to be good.
They're confident.
We don't got to market it.
I would love to see that.
Yep.
I would love to see that. I also grew up with Indiana Jones, and I don't love Crystal Skull or Dial of Destiny, but they're not the worst things ever.
I like Dial of Destiny. I like that. I watched it like 2 weeks ago. I liked it.
I haven't seen Dial of Destiny yet, but Crystal Skull.
Nothing's ever gonna match. I mean, we grew up with the trilogy. Nothing's ever gonna live up to that. But I like Dial of Destiny. Crystal Skull was kind of rough, but Dial of Destiny was better than that.
Oh, cool! I'm excited to see it. Then I want to. Yeah.
The bar is so low.
Don't tell me what happens.
Better than
no, it won't. I mean, come on, it wasn't terrible.
No, it wasn't terrible.
Yeah, you got to have moderate views, Dan. Not everything is either trash or the best thing ever.
No, in comparison,
I liked it. I liked it.
Destiny was okay.
Yeah. I'll date myself and maybe Dan or maybe Hogue. I don't know. So, Travis, to show you, going back on this, when I was a kid, before, why am I blanking on the name of the third one with Sean Connery?
Last Crusade.
Last Crusade. Thank you. Before that came out, in Temple of Doom was obviously the big indie movie. I had a book that came with a record that you'd play the record and it would play the music and read it to you while you had the book.
Sure. So you couldn't. Yeah, I had one for Gremlins.
You say it again, Travis?
You couldn't read as a kid? You'd have,
no, it just
you'd have somebody. Yeah,
and it would like play the theme music during like action events in the book, and and to Hogue's point, they did that for a bunch of different movies of the '80s. It was fun.
So I had one for Gremlins because when it plays the twinkle sound, turn the page.
Yeah.
I think you guys are describing audiobooks. Is this Audible?
Oh, you guys came before audiobooks. All right, we were thinking ahead
we
of the
didn't have the internet or iPods or phones like that.
God, Neanderthals, one and all.
Oh, Katie says it was a cassette. Sorry, Katie. All right, you don't have to get all advanced on us. All right,
it was a cassette. It wasn't a.
Mine was a record.
It was a record. Like wait, vinyl.
It was a little record. A little record. Yeah,
you know the little record.
It was unironically vinyl, like not hipster. Just
not San Fran vinyl, like real vinyl.
Yeah, like it's
San Fran vinyl is real vinyl. It is literally vinyl records. It's the same tech. It hasn't changed at all.
Katie's just both. Yeah, I mean they evolved to tapes eventually, but anyway, I thought that you gave me a flashback when you said all three have been out, and I'm like, man, I remember seeing Last Crusade, literally like when it came out in the theater.
I actually had a vinyl record player a couple years ago. I moved into this house, and there was a massive, old school, completely analog vinyl record player with speakers and everything here, and it was like a big antique appliance in the house. And right around the time I moved in, I started reviewing games where for some reason they were still sending physical review copies. You remember those days, Ains, where they would send copies to your house? I don't know if Season Gaming was around when that was a thing, but used to be you were on a press list and they would send a copy of the game to your house. This kind of stopped, I think, halfway through the Xbox One era, where they were just like, all right, no more. Everything's digital now. But they used to send things to your house, and for some reason they would send me vinyl records of the game soundtracks. And I started just having a whole bunch of vinyl video game records. And then I had to look in the mirror one day and be like, dude, I'm not a vinyl record guy. I'm just not that dude. I'm just not that guy. I don't like music really.
Those are probably worth a bunch of money. You still have
them? I still have them. Yeah,
I bet you they're worth a bunch of money.
But the antique record I gave to a buddy who's like a musician and cares way more about like audio quality, just because it was here. But I still have a whole bunch of vinyl records for
cool.
video game soundtracks for no reason at all. And I'm not a vinyl record guy, but yeah. I mean, they take up a lot of space. I mean, copper wire going to these big old speakers, and it was like literally an antique like appliance with a record player on top. It's crazy.
Well, you can go on eBay and get a little record of somebody narrating Gremlins to you. If you want to
there
a
you go.
little Billy Pell.
You'll enjoy Temple of the Doom, Travis, the right way.
Temple of the Doom. I don't know why that made it more funny to me. Temple of the Doom.
I think my head mixed up The Last Crusade with Temple of the Doom. The one other thing I just want to mention
like a
here
WWE wrestler when you call it the Doom. I don't know. It's like a person.
On the Xbox show, what I found interesting. So back in June, when they did their event in LA and they spoke about what games are coming in 2024, Towerborn was a very big game for them. Very big preview game. They've done a preview on Xbox Wire about it. I've done a preview on it, and it's not listed here. So I don't know why, if it's either shifting to later in the year or, there's something going on with development. But if you don't know what Towerborn is, it's a 4-player co-op action RPG that is kind of like a think side-scrolling, like Dragon's Crown meets Diablo type of thing. It looks excellent. It's one of like my most anticipated games, and I was kind of sad not to see that here. So I don't know if they're just saving that for maybe later. I don't know. But
maybe that's going to be the Shadow Drop.
That would be awesome. Yeah, that would be awesome. I doubt it, but you never know.
Never heard of it. So there we go.
Shout out. We just crossed 300 live, hanging out with us. Shout out to all you guys in the chat, chilling with us.
Craziness.
All right. And then after the show, before I jump to the second part of the show here, anything else on those 4 games you guys want to mention?
Just give me Hellblade already. I don't need to see any more about it. So
I mean, I think they've been showing that game for too long, but the fact that it's appearing in this show gives me a little bit of makes me happy, because it means the end is near. We're gonna see this game
End in sight.
Out.
Yeah. Matt Booty already said that Hellblade 2 is a 2024 game. Like, it's coming out.
And I think that this is a pretty good slate of games to come out in 2024. I think Xbox has a pretty strong year for first party ahead of it.
We know what IGN thinks about Microsoft's first party releases this year.
Right.
Travis.
Yeah, that they're good post was the post, by the way. Obviously people can nitpick the tweet as much as they want, but
I think it's the word "actually" that threw the tweet
finally,
off,
like Xbox.
Or finally, sorry.
Well, the tweet linked to a podcast episode where everybody was praising Xbox. That was the content that was sent. So it's just funny to me that everybody's upset about it. I'm like, did you watch the video? It's Ryan McCaffrey. Ryan McCaffrey going, IGN
people.
Yeah, I know. People are yeah, you're fine. Criticize.
Yeah,
criticize.
people are too damn sensitive.
We're the biggest outlet in the world. We'll be fine. We can take it. Feel free.
What was I going to say? Yeah, so this show happens at 12 Pacific, like I said, and then literally an hour later, once this show wraps up, there's a little bit of a gap, but then they have at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 Eastern, 9 Greenwich Mean Time, is the Elder Scrolls Online Global Reveal, which is going to be the next chapter of Elder Scrolls Online, and what they said is their biggest release of 2024. So this should be pretty exciting, too. I figured, Hogue, you'd be all about this one.
I
Me
love
too.
ESO. I have to give the
I'm an
disclaimer,
ESO
of course, that my brother
subscriber.
works at ZeniMax Online.
Yeah, stop shilling. Jeez.
Chill.
I love ESO. And I think every time they give a big expansion, they add something fun and new that winds up spreading across the whole game. And I think it's the right way to do it with a game like that. And I'm looking forward to it.
Let me talk
Cool.
about ESO from a non-chill perspective. It's great. I'm a big ESO fan. My fiance and I play that game pretty religiously together, and are both ESO Plus subscribers. So that's how you know we're hardcore. We want that separate.
That's more than me.
We want that separate bag where we can keep all of our ingredients. You know what I mean? That's
Go get
that's
that bag,
honestly-
Travis.
Go get that bag. I'm actually giving away a bag to get a bag in a digital bag. This is very confusing. But yeah, I really like ESO, and I think they are even more than other MMOs or live service games are kind of one of the biggest success turnaround stories. Remember when ESO launched originally and it was like kind of bad, mid at best, and now it's I think one of the better online games out there.
I think that and Fallout 76 have both, like, when they told us in June that between Fallout 76 and ESO, they have 150 million people that play those games, like active users or whatever, which is nuts.
And by the way, if you want to know where the crazy open mic gamers are that have really loud and aggressive conversations, they're on ESO and Fallout 76. Because walk around town and you will hear some things that remind you of the Halo 2 open party chat
Open
games.
lobbies. Yeah.
Oh my God, dude. It is heinous. I mean, you need to turn off chat. Like that's kind of what I do when I'm just trying to drill in and play the game, because folks be wild in those public spaces. It's kind of crazy.
The best
but it's
thing
cool.
ESO did was lean into the lore and exploration kind of mindset in the MMO space, because they're the only ones that have ever kind of scratched that itch for me. Walking around, seeing what's over the next hill, finding the next piece of lore, and then they added the archaeology, and that was even more into that game. And
yeah, that is a crazy
ESO.
ad. Yeah, and they have your favorite card game, Hogue.
They do. I
mean,
love that card game.
They just keep building stuff, and it's such a massive game. And yet, every time I play it, it doesn't have the problem I have with other MMOs where it feels completely unapproachable. Like there's no way I can handle all the content. They're really good at just being like, if you want to go do this thing, it's over in this part of the world, and if you want to do this thing, it's in this part of the world. And really, the only quibble I have with all that is that they have so many quests and you can only carry like 20 quests for some damn reason. It's like a very small
when
amount.
they flattened out the world, I thought it was an interesting choice. And I think that the big thing that doesn't work for people that play more standard MMOs is that it's hard to feel progress in the world, like making your character just bigger and better, and then being able to fight a dragon for the soul of the universe or whatever it might be. But what they do is every link quest in an area, every continent, every place that you go has its own really well thought about, at least short story, if not more of a novel, depending on how much you want to talk to people. And so if any of that sounds good, if you like single player role-playing games, but you'd like to do it with people running around and past your vision and through your camera shots, ESO is the place for you.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's my shilling. And again, my brother works for that company, so take it however you want. I will tell you, it's not my brother's favorite MMO. So the combat in ESO is deliberately simplistic, right? To focus on the narrative and the plot and the lore and everything else. And so he doesn't engage with that as well as some of the other MMOs that have more technical combat and things like that. I think if I had to ask him, his favorite's probably something like Guild Wars 2 or something like that.
Okay. Fair enough. But yeah, that should be a good show next Thursday, and obviously we'll talk more about what was shown, release dates, and everything to do with that next week. So we'll get to that. I want to
And they
get
pretty
to
regularly hit like May for their expansion, so it should be like early spring or so.
Okay, cool.
That is not inside knowledge. It's just a guess.
Yeah, I don't know when it's going to release. I'm guessing May 14th, but other than that,
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk before we get to Bitcast questions, of course, for the panel. I wanted to talk about the games of early 2024 because we're kicking off in several kind of big and solid games week by week here. So I already talked on Prince of Persia. That officially releases tomorrow if you buy the deluxe edition, which gives you 3-day early access, which Travis adores. So tomorrow, if you want to pay for that edition, otherwise it launches on the 18th. So that comes out this week, of course, officially. And then next week, we kind of joked about it, but we get Palworld, which is launching in early access on January 19th. And it is launching Friday and launching into Game Pass as well.
Mm-hmm.
The funny thing I wanted to talk about Palworld. So if you haven't seen this game, and it's the thumbnail this week, we had some fun with it because it is essentially, how would you guys describe this? Pokemon meets Fortnite meets survival game. I don't really know how else to describe this game.
Yeah,
we've had other games that kind of try to ape the Pokemon aesthetic, and we've talked about Pokemon games like Cassette Beasts or Temtem. This is the first that I've really looked at it and said, "Wow, they are right on the edge, if not over the edge." Their lawyers are right on it with like the design of these characters in Palworld are so reminiscent of Pokemon, and then you add them into situations that are not Pokemon-esque at all, like having machine guns. And
exactly.
It's a very interesting product.
Yeah. Maybe I should just shut up for a segment.
You should probably shut up.
Well, here, let me read this and you can take it. So there are descriptions of what you can do in this game on their site. And if you look, and here's one that I sent to these guys earlier because it's quite funny. Pals can be used to fight, or they can be made to work on farms or factories. You can even sell them or eat them. So it says, in a harsh environment where food is scarce and vicious poachers roam, danger waits around every corner. To survive, you must tread carefully and make difficult choices, even if that means eating your own pals when the time comes. So you can basically do whatever you want with your pals.
Yeah. It is Pokemon with a very irreverent tone. Like when they say you can make your pals work for you, it's like you literally put them in like sweatshops making your guns. They manufacture weapons for you. Is like, and it shows it, by the way. It's not like it's just like an off screen, like, oh, send pal to the thing. It's like it shows the gun factory with all the pals slaving away to produce your weapons and ammo.
Yeah, it's wild, Dan. There's a video. I'm sorry, Travis. No, go ahead.
And then you go into combat with them. It's a third-person shooter. The reason Ains compared it to Fortnite is because it kind of has that, childlike, cartoonish look.
Similar artistic kind of look.
But it is not tonally the same as Pokemon at all. Tonally, it's like irreverent as hell. It's basically like, all right, what if Pokemon was just like we addressed all the dystopian kind of like questions about slavery, or is this dog fighting that we're basically doing, or all that stuff. And it kind of leans into it in a very irreverent and silly way, with the intention to be funny. I mean, every pal has like an interaction with weapons in some regard. Like either you can literally give them a gun, or they have an ability where like they'll shoot rockets out of their, they'll grab a rocket launcher and just fire it. Yeah, shoulder blades, stuff like that. So it's an interesting game.
I was gonna say there's a video where it shows about eating them. It shows like putting one in a pot and it's cooking on fire and it's sitting in the pot and its eyes are just X's. And I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta eat your pals, bro.
And the joke only really works because of how close the art is. Yes. It's not like they are Pokemon, but you can tell the same design philosophies informed how these things were designed.
No doubt. RJH says, can you eat someone else's pals? I'd go around eating other people's pals if I could.
We don't know yet, is what I'll say officially.
We do not know.
Yeah.
No, there is co-op and multiplayer, but I don't know to what extent. We'll obviously talk a lot more about this next week. But if you didn't know what Palworld was and why it's our thumbnail this week, now you know, because the game looks wild. and I think it's going to be a laugh if nothing else. We'll see how well implemented and polished it is, but yeah, it looks crazy. So
yeah, I would say it's Pokemon meets Oregon Trail. You know, sometimes you gotta eat your travel.
Your pal died of dysentery.
Yeah, he fell out of dysentery, and now you've got to eat him. Yeah.
No, don't eat the guys that died of dysentery. This is why you lost Oregon Trail, Travis.
Sometimes you got to eat the guys who died of dysentery. Sorry, man. Times are tough.
So that's the 19th. Alongside, Alex is making me mention that Last of Us 2 Remastered is coming. I think you can look for Hoag's review on that. We'll talk about that next week. And Hoag,
I think
you got that one covered.
One of my
right?
more popular videos is it Can All Be for Nothing on my channel, where I did my review of Last of Us Part 2. So yeah, you can check that out if you want. It's still one of my more popular video game based videos on my channel.
Hilarious.
But there will not be an add-on to that for the remaster.
Sometimes it's not about the destination, Hoag. It's about the friends we murdered along the way.
Yes, the very
Palworld, or is this Last of Us?
Yeah, we're talking about both.
Violence.
There's a lot of overlap, really, between Palworld and
just drop Ellie into Palworld, see how she does.
Yeah.
Of course, the following week, I think we've already said, is actually all 4 of our most anticipated games. So on the 26th drops Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, which RGG Studios said is the biggest game they have crafted. So
their games are already so long.
I know this is gonna be a big one. So I think I'll probably be playing this for months, but I know obviously it goes without saying Dan is super pumped for this one. But I think all 4
I'm still
of us
playing
are.
Gaiden. Right, Gaiden's the short one. It's like we have different definitions of short.
Yeah,
Dan, you rolled your eyes a bit. What did I say wrong?
I think I said last week. I mean, I'm just worried that this is going to be too much. I mean,
too big.
Too big. Like you don't have to always go bigger. We've learned that. We learned that with Valhalla for sure.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes stuff away from the main story. Where
spoken like a guy with a tiny lightsaber.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I didn't have
Dan's lightsaber was perfectly normal length.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Mine was the curved little one.
Yeah.
Yours was dysfunctional.
Yeah,
it is not dysfunctional. It happens to all Jedis.
No, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's the only game I'm gonna play for probably the next month or two. So we'll see what happens.
It's cold here, Travis.
God, it's very cold here. Very cold.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think I'm really excited about this one. I love Like a Dragon. It's one of the few, I've joked before, like most Japanese role-playing games aren't on my alley nowadays, but I played the hell out of that game and loved it. So I'm just super pumped about this one. To Dan's point, obviously, I hope they didn't try to do too much or go too far and ruin aspects of it. But RGG is solid, man.
They are.
I think it's going to be.
They might be the
certified.
most solid.
Yeah.
In terms of quality and quantity.
Consistency.
That's from software, my friend. Thank you.
Quantity?
Froms are a little bit more separated in time.
Yeah. I would say if you put them on the graph of like
take out remasters. Quality,
they're the highest up, like in the upper right-hand corner, because their quality and quantity is so dang high. I mean, they're due like at least 1 game a year, sometimes more than one. Just crazy.
Well, I mean,
take out remasters.
I don't know when Ishin came out, right? But it might be Ishin, Gaiden, and Infinite Wealth, like within a 12-month period.
Well, as I said, take out remasters. That's not a new game. Like Ishin's not a new game.
It's true.
Infinite Wealth.
It's true.
Still, I mean, you still got to have people.
It doesn't matter. I mean, we're arguing about 2 fantastic studios and great games. It doesn't matter. But
I would just say maybe their quality is probably higher, but I don't think they're as far up in that upper right hand.
Prolific. Yeah. RGG definitely kills it. So so that's January 26th, guys. I mean, that's less than 2 weeks away. Pumped.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yep.
I will have not finished the 2 games I should finish before that one, so we'll see.
Nice.
And then a week after that, which we can actually talk about now due to things that have gone on, is Suicide Squad, February 2nd, which I only learned this. Sorry, Hope.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, we had all of our lips tied because even as a lawyer, I looked at that NDA and said, Christ, okay. So, yeah, I wasn't even sure I could say the word Suicide Squad in order after signing that NDA. But they lifted it because they had an awful preview set when a bunch of people said there were problems with the game. And so they said, well, we've got a lot of people that played it and seem to be more positive. Let's lift that NDA. And I'm happy to tell folks that I enjoyed my time with the Suicide Squad. And I'm not the biggest fan of the Suicide Squad as an IP. I'm not the biggest fan of looter shooters. I think people will be surprised by how much narrative and world building and story Rocksteady got into this game. And I think there will still be voices online and in the review class that say, I wish these resources would have gone to something more like an Arkham game. But there's a lot of that DNA in this title, and I was very impressed by it, honestly.
Yeah, I'll sound off as well. I was also pleasantly surprised by my time with it. Actually, not really surprised. It's Rocksteady. They're good at making games. But the story, I think, for me hit. I played most of it with friends and my fiance, and we were all laughing together playing multiplayer. It really does crush it as a multiplayer game. And I will give a little insight into the preview event. So the reason that so many people that previewed it have negative impressions aren't because necessarily that they just hate, looter shooters or don't like that it's a multiplayer game or anything else. It really comes down to a very poorly run press event, from my understanding. They got there and there were a whole bunch of trouble with the machines, and whoever decided what they were going to play for the game decided it would be a good idea to make them play 20-minute increments to jump around to different chapters of the game with no cohesion in the story, and also playing different characters every 20 minutes, and then do that for about 90 minutes of full play time, and then go, okay, bye, go home. With the game having a lot of technical issues in between those sections. And so, if you were at that event, you might have gotten a really bad taste in your mouth because of the way that they chose to preview their game. The people that did the closed alpha or whatever it was, closed beta, they got more of like a, hey, here's the first 90 minutes, here's the first 2 hours. And I think that probably would have gone over a little bit better. I don't know if they were trying to give the people in the media like a deeper impression of the game, or show them content that was further along in the game, or stuff that you couldn't just play if you played the alpha or whatever. But it seemed to not work out, and or was just like poorly planned. I wouldn't be surprised if Rocksteady, I wouldn't be surprised if heads would roll based on the preview event, just based on what I've heard for people that were there, is that it was just really, really poorly planned and executed. So, yeah, so I'll say maybe if you were a little bit scared by the negative press that the game got this week, just keep in mind sometimes a game is just simply previewed poorly, and it gives the people that are there a bad impression for it. My impression was a lot more positive, playing it in the alpha and doing the first couple hours with friends, and not having somebody over my shoulder making me jump from chapter to chapter and play characters that I didn't understand the controls for. So yeah,
it was very polished for an alpha, and I can certainly understand why that would be a problem, because these characters do play pretty differently, especially in terms of movement.
Yeah, and then they ask you to record your footage of you playing, a character for the first time in your life for 20 minutes before having switched to another, and then turn that into a YouTube video. And then when everybody makes fun of you, you're like, yeah, well, I'd like to see you try it. Have all of your moves criticized minutes after you've learned how to play the game. That's why, sometimes when I preview a game, I'll play it myself, and then when I'm done with the demo, I'll ask somebody on the team to play it as well and record that as well. Just that way, you have somebody who has more experience with the game playing it and can show off tricks or, a clean playthrough. Weirdly, people that we kind of came in, I don't know if you guys saw Saltzman's drama this week with Dragon's Dogma 2, but he got
I saw his letter to Reddit.
Yeah, he got criticized online for his gameplay in Dragon's Dogma 2. And if you don't know Saltzman, he's extremely good at video games, and he's a big Dragon's Dogma fan. And so he basically just responded to the Reddit post and was like, hey, here's what capturing footage is like, and why the things happened that you saw. And the community actually surprisingly saw his letter and was like, "Oh, sorry." They
was
like
a very good
apologized
letter.
to him. It was a very good
that's
letter, and
That's
yeah,
good.
and Reddit kind of came back and was like, "Yeah, sorry, we were being dicks about it." Good stuff. So
Yeah. How about just
yeah,
not be a dick and assume you know
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
ahead of time?
exactly. And yeah, I think sometimes people online they expect, this person must not play games, etc. Until you've previewed a game and played it and had to record for it. I also have this phenomenon where even if I'm really good at a game, as soon as I hit record, I start sucking. I don't know if it's just like I get nervous, or I know
You
that I'm
get a
being
performance
locked or
anxiety?
whatever.
Does it affect
Yeah,
your
a little
lightsaber? I mean,
little bit of performance anxiety. Hey, you try doing it with a camera in front of you. But yeah, I think there is a little bit of that. But yeah, I mean, people should have more empathy for these things. So I would just say,
yes.
trust that people who work in games are gamers. That's my general advice for you. None of us are like, you know what I would like to do? I'm not really into games, but God, I really want to make $35K a year. So I'm going to get into games media. You know what I mean? Like, come on, dude. These guys, you have to love games to be in this industry. Come on.
It's funny. I know I was closer to it because I interact with Mitch a lot, but I couldn't even imagine anybody accusing Mitch of not having games experience because I've watched his
Right?
fighting games videos. And it's like,
Yeah.
wow.
He is a legit gamer. He goes to a tournament in fighting games, and he's
He's like fighting game guy, yeah.
He also does all of our Souls-like games and stuff like that. So he and I have a little bit of like a Sweat Lord rivalry because we're kind of the two. we're the two Sweat Lords in IGN. So yeah,
No, I've never heard that rank before, but it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's more of a Sweat Lord than I, but I go pretty hard. I go pretty hard sometimes. Probably got him.
Funny enough, I downloaded and installed this on the alpha and then never played it. So I can't really offer any thoughts. I've heard from a lot of people outside of you guys as well who have played it. I would say the vast majority probably really enjoyed it. And the people I know that have played it are kind of pre-ordering it. What I was going to say right at the top is I said this is February 2nd, and I didn't actually learn until looking it up this morning. They too have a paid early access. So if you buy
January
the deluxe
30th.
edition, January 30th, you get 3 days early on that one too. And it's digital only, of course.
Get them.
So
I'm going to tell you something. I did not like the alpha, but I also don't think this game is for me. So it's a looter shooter. I'm tired of Suicide Squad. So and I think I put this in our chat. I don't know where everybody's talking about the story. And you kind of said something about a Hogue, but I didn't see any. Like you get to like a museum and stuff, but then after that, everybody's like, "Oh, the story's going to be amazing." I mean, if you're going on Rocksteady's pedigree, then yes.
I think it's clear that they devoted resources to telling a story. That's what we could get from the alpha.
Right. But I mean,
and
as far
I think
as
that's
like
a bit of a
quality
surprise.
of it, we have no idea. And that's fine, but hopefully people enjoy it. I'm probably going to wait till you guys play and see what you guys think of it. I'm going to wait on that one. Plus, I mean, there's no chance I'm going to be done with Yakuza by then. So there's no way. But
it's like 3 days later. Yeah.
Yeah. No. That's not going to happen. So, but have fun with it. And hopefully, I mean, Rocksteady has never really disappointed me in the past. I will say that.
What didn't you like about the gameplay, Dan?
It was, what it felt like to me? It felt like a worse version of Anthem. I didn't like the traversal at all.
Oh,
or any of the people. Maybe I think Deadshot or whatever his name is. What the hell's the sniper guy? Is it Deadshot in this one? Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one with the drone, right?
Yeah, the guy with the jetpack. That's the one.
Oh, the jetpack.
Yeah,
Harley uses the drone.
Yes. Yeah, she uses the drone. That's right. And I just didn't like the. I actually kind of struggled. I think it was Captain Boomerang and his traversal. I was like, man, this guy's terrible. What a terrible.
Well, King Shark is a little bit like that old Incredible Hulk game.
Yeah, he kind of.
I was enjoying bounding about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was also a shark boy. But I will say, I think Harlequin has the best, it seemed like hers was the way you want to play the game primarily. It had a lot of depth and time put into it, I felt. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, the story, you get a little bit of taste of it, but the very, very silly, irreverent tone is fun. The, there were moments in it where something happens and you're like, oh damn, didn't expect that. I will agree with this, Dan. I'll say the one area that I think maybe everyone on this panel has kind of agreement on is we're all pretty tired of Suicide Squad. I think at this point they've done it a lot.
I didn't really like either of the movies.
Yeah,
I was not enthused about them using the IP. I still think that at the end of the day, killing the Justice League is probably something that's going to get rolled back in comic book format, right? Like, even if they do kill them, there's a lot going on there in Metropolis. I can't imagine that Warner Brothers or DC wants to kill off their best known characters. So I think there's open questions for everybody that looks at what the project is about what it overall will have as an impact. And I think Dan's right that you don't get a lot of story from that alpha, but the alpha was set up seemingly from the beginning of the game. I know there was a disclaimer about them cutting certain things, but it seemed like it was mostly the beginning arc of the game. And I think for me, it was just the notion that they clearly had put in the resources to have all of this really kind of effective banter amongst the group, seeing different things as it goes along, and then actual narrative, like little mini levels within this open world environment that I didn't know would be in the game prospectus, right? So I enjoyed that. I'm looking forward to the game. It might disappoint at the end of the day, but as a looter shooter, it has more going for it than I had expected.
Feels like it's just going to be a divisive game to begin with, which is okay. That's fine. I mean, there's right now in our chat, there's people who said they really loved it, and then Rick says I agree 100% with Dan here. Worst feeling version of Anthem is exactly how I felt. So if it's not for you, it's not for you.
That's really going to be coming down to for me. I mean, it's just I'm just tired. I try to get into I want that one looter shooter that I'm like, oh, this is going to be I can play a game for a long time. I do that with other games that aren't looter shooters, so you would think that like a live service game game
would be perfect for you once you find one you like. Yeah,
that's the key, and maybe this will be it. And I have no idea. And
I would say the biggest concern is that it is not as tight of a 30 seconds of fun as something like Destiny, right? Destiny's top level shooting, Suicide Squad is not. But the things that Suicide Squad adds to the formula, I liked, right? It has shield concepts, it has melee concepts, it has counter concepts that reminded me of the modern Doom games in terms of having to remember what to do to get your shields back and then kind of manipulating the overall environment in order to defeat enemies the way they need to be defeated to best maximize your chances of overall success. There was more thought put into that pattern than I had expected. So there are lots of things that I liked about it.
I don't know if they went with like a purely Anthem or Destiny format of tight shooting and then you have a couple powers. I don't know if that would have worked really with Suicide Squad as an IP, because I think Suicide Squad as an IP, what you want to go for is like pure chaos. You want to make it feel like it's over the top and silly and there's like a lot of crazy stuff going on. And I think a little bit of sloppiness is kind of part of that. Like the shooting isn't as tight as, where you're maximizing DPS and coming up with like strats and stuff, but wouldn't it feel really weird if the Suicide Squad was like 4 people who are always tightly communicating and working together really well and like precision attacking? And it just that to me feels tonally not really right with the Suicide Squad property. So I think they went for more of like a Sunset Overdrive. It's not necessarily about accuracy or efficiency. It's kind of about just like having fun and doing silly shit in like a crazy sandbox, and I think it nails that part really well. It's more arcadey, and I think it has to be if it's going to be Suicide Squad. Now you can maybe criticize Suicide Squad as maybe not being the right IP for a live service, and I might be with you there. Kind of the same thing with the Avengers. When Avengers was a live service game, my first thought was, how is that going to work? And then it collapsed. But I think in terms of gameplay, they nailed what you would want a Suicide Squad to be, which is just
that's fair,
over the top silliness, arcade feel.
So I want to comment on this
than Avengers. I liked Avengers, and it is more fun to play than Avengers.
Good.
No, that's
sure. I agree with that. I agree with that on the live service part. We'll see if the story lives up to, because I did like the campaign story of Avengers.
There's one question that came up, and it's a little long-winded, but just to give you some context to a feature, because the 4 of us were talking about this the other day. So someone had asked Steady. Is it true that my squad of friends can select my character when I'm not playing? And if my squad takes my character with them, I also will get mission loot and experience points. And here's their answer, so just bear with me while I read this. It says, with Social Squad, if you're playing alone and you're not planning on playing with certain members of the squad, you can replace those squad members with other players. As we mentioned before, they don't even need to be your friends. If you want, you can go to the leaderboards and find the best players in the world and put their characters in your squad. Or you maybe have a favorite streamer or someone you watch, you can put that in your squad. Social Squad teammates keep all of their gear, cosmetics, and talents from their original owners and have them equipped just as if they had joined you in a co-op session. The original owners also get a kickback if their characters are used in someone else's squad. So when they jump in-game next, they will receive a small portion of the resources and loot you've earned while playing. This is separate from the rewards you earn for yourself, so it doesn't take anything away from the loot you've earned while playing. So pretty cool feature. I've heard other people say it's pretty similar to the Dragon's Dogma pawn system. I think it was pawn system. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's still a cool feature, especially if you're someone who prefers to play relatively solo most of the time.
So I wonder, is it based like I'm assuming you have like certain gear sets and
yes, they're loot.
Everything. So are they gonna? It's gonna that character. Let's say I use Travis's, Harley Quinn. It's gonna be his.
It's literally Travis's loadout. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. A little asynchronous multiplayer stuff. That's a great idea.
Basically.
I also will say, like, there's a lot of people playing this game and talking about it in the Discord right now. There's like a Discord, and a couple news stories have come out of it because of the stuff the devs are really engaging and getting to the nitty gritty. And all of the stuff I've seen has comforted me about the game, made me feel like it's probably gonna, like, they've thought through the live service, they've thought through the build crafting thing. So I think people are reacting to the idea of Suicide Squad and the idea of live service, and maybe even taking some of the Gotham Knights game and having that taste in their mouth. I don't really understand the full scope of why people are so against this game by default, but I think it's going to surprise some of them, and perhaps that expectations are low is actually a good thing for Rocksteady.
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I will sit here and say it's absolutely better than Gotham Knights. I didn't hate Gotham Knights. I liked it more than Travis, but it is clearly better than Gotham Knights.
Yeah. They also, as Alex and Zach point out in our chat too, they got away from gear score and this kind of extra developing time they've done. So they've got away from the gear score. There's a Paragon system,
from gear score.
Yeah, there's a late game skill system that is also can be co-op based as well. So like as your party, say you have a party of end game or max level guys, there's more skills you can unlock and combine together at that point too. So I think there's a lot of things to your guys' point that they've talked about that sound very exciting. So I haven't actually played the alpha, like I said, but I'm excited to play it. I'll definitely be picking it up.
Yeah, we'll see.
Cool.
Could be good.
We'll see. Hopefully it's good. One thing real quick before we jump to our questions. I forgot to mention Tekken 8 comes out on January 26th as well. Big, obviously, fighting game release. So same day as Infinite Wealth, and Elu, who's in the chat, is reviewing that one for us. He's our fighting game guy, kind of like Mitch over at IGN. So be good.
I understand the cast of Succession has been added to Tekken.
Yes.
No.
Yep.
Let's get that caught me, threw me off guard there. A couple super chats to get to here. Let's catch up on them.
Beautiful. Shoosh with the €5. This is the second year in a row when we start with some dormant IP being revived, just like Harrison Ford's career recently. Touche. He's in a show on Apple TV that's not bad. Something.
Yeah, with
Shrinking.
Jason
Segel.
Yeah, Shrinking. Yeah, it was actually pretty good. I watched that.
It's another Bill Lawrence show.
There you go.
Yeah. Shoosh, thank you as always. Appreciate you. Diesel Gabes.
Diesel Games, 499 super chat. Ho, go Lions. Also, cheers, Zanes and crew. I haven't been around, but take care and stay slaying.
That's right. For those that don't know, the Detroit Lions have their first home playoff game in 30 years.
Yeah.
I attended that game 30 years ago. We lost to the Packers. Maybe today will go better. I'm not betting the house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good luck, Lions.
Is Laporta playing? Yes or no?
Laporta was practicing and was hopeful about getting to play in the game today.
All right. I'm not going to put him in my parlay. All right. Gotcha.
Easel, thank you, man. Good to see you. All right. A lot of people hanging out with us today. Thank you for hanging out with us. Definitely share it out if you're enjoying the conversation. Please make sure, as always, you know the spiel. Hit that like button, share it out. We super appreciate it. All right, so it's finally time, guys. I kind of curated a bunch of the questions that we've gathered since the holidays for the panel. So as we've talked about it several times on the show, these are questions that came from all over the place, all of our viewers. For anyone on the panel, all four of us or individuals of us, and they could be questions about anything. So I've curated a bunch of these, and we're going to spend the rest of the episode having a little fun here.
And I'm pretty sure Ains is the only one that has seen these. Am I right?
I am the only one that has seen them. Yep. I have the list here, and I also, some of them came in with like anonymous names. Some of them had obviously regular viewers who hang out with us. I'm not calling out the names as I read these. I figured that would probably be the better bet. Just keep it anonymous. So let's go ahead and get started here with the first question, which is for Hogue. And I would guess Travis too as well. You said previously Gloomhaven was your favorite board game. Have you tried Frosthaven yet? And if so, what did you think of it? And if you haven't tried it yet, what are some of your other favorite board games?
So I got Frosthaven delivered to me in December of 2022. And I have not played it. Yes, good timing. And I have not played it yet because 2023 was not a year in which I was playing a lot of strategy-based games or board games. And it took me a while to get to the place where that felt comfortable again. So I haven't gotten a chance to crack it open. It did seem more complicated than I would have liked reading through the instructions. One of the things I really like about board games is when their design is elegant, is the word I tend to use, which is that it captures notions of theme or storytelling or narrative with very simple rules that can have a lot of different kind of permutations coming out of them. And my fear is that Frosthaven might become more of a computer game version of Gloomhaven, which isn't so fun to run on the table. But I haven't gotten it out yet, so I can't say. As for my favorite board games, the favorite one that I played in 2023 is a single-player board game, which I don't usually play, called Final Girl. And if you're interested in exploring single-player board games at all, it's my favorite of all time. It is a game in which you are playing one of like the heroic survivor characters in a horror movie. And these horror movies can be things like Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street or even Alien or whatever it might be. And you get this box that has a new killer and a new place to play against that killer. And they can all be rotated against each other. So you can play against Freddy Krueger hunting you down on the African savannah, or you can play against Santa Claus hunting you down on the equivalent of the Nostromo. And within that, you play a deck of cards that allow you to do certain actions that then have to roll through kind of a cooldown, if you will, from the video game parlance in order to combat these killers. And you try to get other people on the board out of the killing fields, as it were, and you get bonuses for doing that while you try to survive against this killer. And it is one of my absolute favorite board games of all time. It fills up your whole brain space. It has a lot to think about, a lot of strategy to do, but only ever a few choices to make. So it has all that elegance and it captures the feel of these 80s, 90s, and even 2000s horror movies in just a really effective way. So that was my favorite game last year. I have a lot of other games that I play regularly. I play Pandemic Legacy games with my daughter, and I like those as well. But Final Girl is my biggest recommendation if you're looking for a board game. And I'll try to keep my answers shorter, Ains, because I know if I answer it with this length, we'll be here till 3.
Yes,
indeed.
Yes.
And I'll just say I've played Frosthaven. I think it's a pretty good game. I don't think it meets the qualification of being elegant, as Hogue said, but I also would say Gloomhaven isn't elegant at all. Those games are like famously very bloated and take a million years to set up and learn. And I think Frosthaven is very much in the line of that. It appeals to the same gamer. But yeah, sometimes you're in a mood for a game like that. Sometimes you're in a mood for something that's a little more simple. I like really chunky games, so I think Frosthaven's more up my alley. I would like to recommend Carnegie as a board game that I really enjoy if you haven't played it. It's a cool game, and it's about, yes, the entrepreneur Carnegie. And so it speaks to my capitalist spirit, obviously. Become an entrepreneur in a board game.
All right.
I would like to recommend Clue.
There you go.
Clue's a good one.
Spoken like a real Colonel Mustard.
Dan, we have a very serious question here.
Crap.
What item would become worse if it was buttered?
God, man, I don't think there is one. I mean, margarine, maybe? No, that makes it better. I mean, there's really nothing that you can, butter, like any item. I mean, if you get in electronics, maybe. That's all I can think of. But, yeah, butter solves all problems. I mean, it's a great lubricant, There you go. All right, next question.
Next question. This is for all of us. How did we all get together? We need an origin story.
Oh wow.
Ains brought us together.
Yeah,
Ains did bring us together.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I appeared on the show once, and then Ains sent me a nice DM afterwards and said, "You want to do this again?"
That's his
We should
MO.
do this again sometime.
Yeah.
That's what he did with me. I don't know why you did it with me. I can't even remember. You just reached out randomly. You were like, "Hey, I'm doing a show, and I think you should be on it." And I was like, "Really, me? We just met, buddy."
I think
didn't we talk about it over pizza? We were talking about because it was me and you, and we went to that pizza joint at Prairie Fire. I remember that.
Grimaldi's. Yeah,
Grimaldi's. Yep. And we were like, "Hey, we should." I got this guy, Thai guy.
Got this Thai guy.
Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah.
I think I can't remember the sequence of events actually, because I knew Travis from COG and from Last Word. And we were having guests at the time because it was just Dan and I doing this because Bert had moved on. So we were having guests regularly, and so we had Travis on. And then I know, Travis, you and I did the one-on-one with you, which we talked for a while. And that's when I think at that point is when Dan and I chatted over lunch saying like, "Hey, what do you think about me bringing Travis on full time if he wants to do it, of course." No. So that was Travis. And then pretty similar with Hogue. I learned about Hogue just through the gamer sphere. And then Hogue and I sat down. We had him as a guest. We also did a one-on-one, although I think the one-on-one maybe came later. And just asked if Hogue wanted to be on the show full time. I thought that we were trying to get a 4-person panel together long term, because I just thought that was kind of a sweet spot for opinions and debate and banter and everything else. And after getting Travis full time, we were trying to find out, okay, who would be a good fit. And so I found Travis's nemesis, and the rest is history.
You were like,
we're
"How about
frenemies
this
at
Hogue
worst."
guy?" And I was like, "Oh boy, must we add that guy?" No. So I do have one slight correction to your origin story, Ains, which is that I was never a guest on the show.
You sure?
Yeah, I was definitely not a guest. But I don't. So that's why it felt like it was out of nowhere to me. I was like, because I thought we were
just
making
come do the show, man.
Yeah, because remember when I was on the show first, when you DM me, I thought we were creating a new show. I had no idea that there were old episodes of the show, and I still haven't seen any of those episodes.
You should go back and watch them. There's some where me and Ains are sitting next to each other.
Sounds great. I won't even watch today's episodes, and I'm in them. But yeah, I'm gonna go watch.
I'll send you Bitcast 0, which is not even published.
That's nice. Pretty Dan.
It's real bad. It's real bad. Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, there you go. There's our origin story. Just really not much of a story, just coming together. For all of us, I told you these questions are very random. So, who's your favorite Decepticon? And why is it not Soundwave from Transformers Prime? Also, if you haven't seen Transformers Prime, go watch it, because the story is the best one to date and has the best ending for any Transformers show, and it will also make Soundwave your favorite.
I want to say Starscream.
It's a good one. Yeah.
I mean, he's the nemesis, like, in general, right? Is Starscream. Like, he's even Megatron's nemesis, for God's sake.
I was gonna say, that's the one that I remember Megatron saying, like, Starscream.
Soundwave actually was always my favorite. I love Soundwave. I still have the original Soundwave action figure with the tapes. So I always liked him because he had the best voice. Come on. Literally had the best voice in the whole show. Soundwave. And the original, we're going back to the 80s, Gen 1 show is what I'm talking about, of course.
Wasn't Shockwave? Didn't he? He was like a giant purple gun that lit up. I thought that was cool when I was a kid. Like he would He was something completely different in the movies, I think. But
We don't
back in,
talk
like,
about
the
the
general-
movies.
No. But I really enjoyed that one, I guess. And then the Constructicons, they're awesome too.
Constructicons are
they're
great.
like-
and the
they're like Voltron.
Dinobots.
Yeah.
Or-
What do you say? Which
Oh,
ones are the
Dinobot.
dinosaurs?
Dinobots are the
Dinobot.
they're Autobots, though. They're good guys. Grimlock, man. Come on.
Grimlock.
Travis is like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, Devastator. That was the Constructicons.
I just haven't
Yep.
thought about Transformers in a couple of years.
How dare you,
It's
sir.
refreshing. Simpler
How
times,
dare you.
know. I like
Man.
Blackout. That'll be my submission.
Okay. Sure.
And shout out to Jazz for being a Porsche 935 whale tail. All right, moving on. Travis, for you, sir. Simple question. Why are you the way that you are?
Wow. We only have like 20 minutes left. Just throwing that out there.
Great question.
Yeah.
Great question. I think I would need you to be more specific about certain aspects of my personality, but I can tell you my personality makes sense in its own way. I understand that it is extremely unpalatable, not only to audiences, but in my personal life. Look, if you have ever seen the show Curb Your Enthusiasm, I am Larry David to a T. And sometimes that's a virtue. Most of the time it is not. Makes me very hard to be around. But, you need people like me. That's what I'll say. It's good that there's people like me to be there.
There's a
for
place.
when you need
There's
me.
a place.
There's a place.
I've
I've
never heard anybody answer earnestly to the Office meme.
Yeah,
I know.
exactly.
There you go.
There you go. For all of us, use a fork or spoon for mac and cheese.
Fork.
Fork.
Easiest question of the day.
Yeah. I'm not
Dan,
trying to.
Dan's
I'm
thinking.
just trying to think what the hell I use.
He doesn't
I mean,
care.
Yeah, it
Face
doesn't really
first.
matter.
Hand-
The delivery
hands.
system, it does
Yeah.
not really matter to me.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
drinks it
could
like
be pretty much anything. It could be a giant butcher knife.
I will
that I'll
say
just-
the only time I would say that a spoon is really necessary is if you're eating that slippery, wet mac and cheese that I don't think is ideal. Nobody wants that, but sometimes you get that and you need a spoon.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Someone makes it a little too liquidy, and it's just kind of
Yeah. If that happens,
like a
they add a little
cereal.
too much milk, then you're gonna need to get a spoon. And that has been my experience with Kraft mac and cheese most of the time. So probably spoon for Kraft and fork for everything else. But who's wasting calories on like mid and bad tier mac? You know what I mean? That's
no,
you
you
know,
don't. Yeah,
you
that's
need
not
mac
even
and
mac
cheese.
and You can't even call
I
that
get
mac
that.
and cheese. Stop it.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Jesus Christ.
By the way, the
Kraft mac
follow-up
and cheese
question.
is fantastic.
Kraft mac and cheese is so good.
Well, it's
So
not.
good. It may not
No,
be
it's
mac
not.
and
No.
cheese. It is so good. Also,
Yeah,
4
well,
tablespoons of butter.
Banana
1/4 cup
candy
of
isn't
milk.
banana.
Boom.
Right.
Right.
Banana candy isn't banana, but it's good. I'll give you that.
By the
Look,
way,
it has a place for sure.
the follow-up question to this, which I actually disagree with, but is why is baked mac and cheese the best? I don't think baked mac and cheese is the best, but maybe
It
I'm alone on that.
depends. You can make mac and cheese and then bake it after to
You
get
can.
like a material that's on top, and I think that can really add. If you have a baked crust or a cheese layer on top, I think that's
I do
good.
think a little crunchy texture can go with things like rice,
Yeah.
certainly.
Crack some Ritz
Yeah.
crackers on top of that thing.
Yeah,
No. I'm a
There's a
purist.
place.
It's got to be mac and there's got to be
But
cheese.
come on. Yeah, there's mac
I
and
mean,
cheese.
I
but
add
come on.
hot dogs,
Sometimes
so,
when it's got a crust on the top that you break
Yeah, that's
through
good.
and it
No,
adds
that's
that.
good.
Come on, man,
yeah.
that's
Nope.
pretty good.
No.
That is good.
I
Hot
don't want
dogs
it to
is,
be
by
a
the way, is a
creme
kid
brulee.
thing. That's what we did for the kids, is to add hot dogs. You do that for yourself, Ho?
Oh yeah, hot dogs,
Oh,
mac and cheese.
okay.
Oh, that's a
All right.
celebration day, man. That's good things are happening.
That's
in
a
the
Michigan
house.
National Champ Day. Mac and cheese and hot dogs.
Dude,
You get some
Well,
Oscar
look,
Myers, little chili,
there's some
mac and cheese right on top of it. Done deal.
there's some really
Did you
good
say
mac and
Oscar
cheese
Myers?
places.
Whatever's there, man. I'm usually a Nathan's guy. Actually, I'm a Vienna guy, but I can't get that here. So I have to get Nathan's hot dogs, which are all right. But also Hebrew National, amazing hot dog. Great,
Indeed.
great one. Yeah, worth the money. For
All
sure.
right.
We went into
for-
Foodcast.
Yep.
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
do it.
Well, you knew we were going to get some
Took
food
a while,
ones.
but we got
for,
there.
For all of us, you have to attend Comic-Con in full cosplay. Who are you going as? By the way, I've done this several times, so this is not like a question, really. But
Easy.
Who are you going as?
Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. Easy answer. Let's go, baby. I
You're
get to wear
ready.
a
You're
suit.
already there.
I've got the pin. I don't have it on right now, but I have a pin, the attorney's badge. So all I have to do is slick my hair back and pretend I live in LA. That's really
Have a
all
law
change.
degree?
There you go.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know how you get a law degree in the Ace Attorney world, but he apparently doesn't know basic stuff like how to object and stuff like that on his first case. So it's kind of a learn as you go sort of thing in the Ace Attorney world. Figure it out. You got
It's multiple choice anyway, Hogue, just
Yeah.
like when you're in a real courtroom.
I think the rule is, so I don't, maybe this will be too deep of a pool, but you can get grandfathered into having a contractor's license. Like if you're a carpenter, like if your dad dies and he has a contractor's license, he can give you a contractor's license. That's how my dad got his. And so my dad never became like, he never had to go to school. He just got it from his dad, who got it from his dad. It was like a family thing. And that's my theory of the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney world, is that if your tutor dies, which is what happens in the Ace Attorney world, then you inherit their law degree. And I think that's how it should work in real life. So Hogue, keep me in your thoughts when it's time for you to call it. Think about me. What could I do with that law degree? What chaos could I create?
As you're dying, think about Travis. That's how it's going to work.
As most people do, because I'm there.
All right,
Right?
full cosplay, Hogue.
I don't know. Bill Belichick?
That's actually perfect. I
did not expect that answer.
Yeah, neither did I. But man,
I was
that's right on.
assuming we were talking video game characters, but hey, you do you.
Some kind of comic on, but you know what? He's kind of a comedian, so that's great. Good job, man.
Dan, what do you got?
I mean, it had to be somebody fat, so like either like the Blob or like Mr. Incredible and like his older days where he like put on a bunch of weight in the spandex and he was kind of I could probably pull that off. Like the old fat Mr. Incredible. That'd be all right.
You could shave your head and be like Hitman really undercover.
Man, I could pull that off.
Yeah.
That's a lot of coverage.
Really undercover.
Yeah.
You could go as Christian Bale doing a part.
Yeah. That'll work.
It's like, he's just really in character. That's all. Just go as
Bizzle
yourself.
said you need to go as Thor from God of War Ragnarok.
That could do that.
That
too.
would be great. If you
There
could.
you go. I have the hammer right here. You can.
I don't have
I'll give it to you.
but I can probably get some.
You can we can fix that.
Yeah.
Me, I don't know who I've gone as Chief. I've gone as Marcus Phoenix.
I can see Marcus Phoenix.
Yeah, Marcus was a good one because I actually have the Lancer with the saw and all that. So that was a good one.
You ruined my tomatoes. Let's see the audition.
I can't. Yeah,
that's too bad.
I can't do the voice. No one can do DiMaggio's voice, man.
That guy is Bender. All right.
Yeah,
that's
DiMaggio's awesome
right there.
No doubt. Hogue, what is the better courtroom movie? To Kill a Mockingbird or My Cousin Vinny?
My Cousin Vinny.
My Cousin Vinny, I've heard, is the most accurate.
For the record, my favorite legal movie is 12 Angry Men, and that is a jury that is not doing what a jury is supposed to do. But
that is
very.
They're breaking some rules in that movie. That's okay though. Who wants an accurate legal representation? Only lawyers.
Who, for all of us, who's
Only
your
Lawyers
game?
sounds like the worst online video
Dating
portal in the world.
Only Lawyers.
Yeah. Only lawyers. You have to sign an NDA before every online date. That would be pretty good. I like that.
For all of us, who's your favorite game character and why? I mean, mine's easy, and you should already know this. Mine is Master Chief. For a number of reasons, obviously the early on in the gameplay and later in the books and how they developed him in the recent games, he's just my guy. So
you don't even know his last name. Not a true fan.
He's John Halo. Duh.
Cheeks. His last name is Cheeks. Oh man. I mean, mine's pretty easy too. It's 47. Agent 47.
Really?
I mean,
you guys choose like two characters that like almost never speak. It's crazy. Those are your favorite characters? Come on.
I mean, you could probably find ones that are more developed and have more character development and better story in history. But I spend so much time with the dude. He's my man.
Yeah, well, that's probably me with John Halo. If I had to probably pick outside of John, I would maybe say Arthur Morgan's up there. He's way up there.
Yeah, pretty good one.
Sure.
I think I'd go with something like Kane from Legacy of Kane.
Okay.
Good one.
Going
too.
back.
Nice.
Yeah.
My brain
Travis,
is
come on.
overloading. My
You gotta
brain is
pick.
overloading, guys.
No,
you
you
knew
gotta
this was gonna
pick.
happen.
You gotta pick.
This is too difficult. I
No,
can just
we're
say
not doing
anyone
that.
though, right? You're not going
What
to
if
hold me.
you,
to
if you
it?
wanted to hang out with one of them, which one would be?
I mean, can
That's
I
a
choose
whole
like
different
a Star
question.
Wars character because they're in a video game?
Sure.
Sure.
Or does that not count as a video game character? Because
Go
then I'll
for
just choose Darth Vader. I want to hang out with that dude.
All right.
I feel like we have a lot in common.
Perfect.
You know what I think about a lot? I think about if Vader ever visits his child friend. You remember
What?
in episode
Yeah.
1?
There's a
He's got
story
that
on that, Travis,
friend.
in the comics.
What's
You
that?
can
No,
go
it's
look
in
it
the
up. There's a story, I think, where he goes back to Tatooine or something. I think it's a comic that you can go and look up. But
Is that one of the ones that's not canon? One of
Maybe.
the one of the pre-Disney era.
It might
Yeah, I'm not fully caught up on that. But yeah, Kitster was his name.
yeah,
I think about that. I would like to be Vader's Kitster.
perfect. All right.
I'd like to be his old homie from the slave days.
Mhm.
This is
Funny.
the
If we go too deep into Star Wars, I start thinking about questions like, why would you hide their son with the same last name at your old family
Yeah.
home?
I mean, there's a lot of
Here we go.
questionable prequel decisions there. But yeah.
We got some funny answers. We got Ichiban, we got Shepard, we got Mr. Chief.
Shepard makes no sense.
Yeah,
'Cause
Shepard,
got
what if
Geralt.
it's somebody else's playthrough? It could be like Renegade Shepard. He pushes you out a window. You know what I mean? Like he punches reporters.
I think Dell has the best answer. The goose from Untitled Goose Game.
That would be pretty good.
That'd be all right.
It's a great one. Okay. Where am I here on my list? All right, Dan, this is for you. And I left this in here. This is up to you how you want to answer this. So this is a great one, though. What does Dan do for a living? I've been a watcher for months and have never heard a reference to what he does for work. Is Dan the Cosmo Kramer of season gaming?
For that. Yeah, there is a reason I don't go into what I do. So
He's a hitman. That's why I play so much
I am a
hitman.
hitman. Yeah. No, I mean I've done several different things. I'm not. Gosh, I don't know how I want to answer this. For a long time,
sounds like he's eating around some illicit activities.
No,
he's like,
it's nothing.
I've done several things.
I'll just say the thing I did.
He hides bodies.
The longest was like HVAC, so I will just stick with that. And then
HVAC.
Yeah.
HVAC. Yeah.
Oh.
So we're just gonna stick with that because I.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yes, he
fine.
is the Kramer of season gaming for sure.
Yes, for sure. It's classic.
All right. Let's see here for all of us. We get a little more serious briefly here. All of you have been through difficult times in your lives. What did you find helpful about games and gaming during those times? What did your friends and family do that made you feel helped and comforted? Okay, maybe the latter part of that. I don't know. You can answer if you want to, but more importantly, the main question is, how have games helped you through difficult times?
Well, we'll start with Hogue here, since he has.
I was going to say, the last year I've been half paralyzed and recovering sensation and function in my left hand, and games were the goal, right? Games were the milestone that I could aim at. And when I got out of the hospital in February of last year, I tried to play Hi-Fi Rush, and Hi-Fi Rush laughed at me and said no. And so that was one of those games that I kept going back to and trying. And I would start something like Jedi Survivor and try to play that and wind up wildly missing, jumping on things like a rope that's hung over 2 canyons and having trouble there. And it was a way to measure my ability of getting better. And I love games so much that it was a driver for consistently using my left hand, right? One of the things my physical therapist said was people that lose functionality in their non-dominant hand often have trouble getting it back because they don't use it for much of anything, right? Even typing, you can kind of get rid of the other hand and work with one hand, and your brain winds up doing that when you're not as functional on the other side. And with games, because of the way they're constructed, you really have to have both hands on a controller, even for a simpler game like a Diablo. And so it was my goal. It was what helped drive me forward, and it was fantastically effective. I talked to my therapist and said, we should do more of that here. We should have more of that stuff here, because it was really the outer edge of what I could do. Even when I had a functional grip, even when I was typing just fine, it was like the hardest thing was keeping the left stick moving in a direction without pulling down on the trigger, and being able to use both hands at the same time to do different things. And so video games, I think, helped save me and my functionality this last year, and I can't say it better than that.
It's awesome. Well said. By the way, I'll just quickly plug your videos on your channel about your stroke journey as well. Very good. For me, I'll answer next. I've written a lot about this as well. I think anyone who watches us regularly or knows me knows that we lost a son. And so back in 2018, which was, tougher than I could ever really describe to anyone. But because of that, I started the Good in Gaming thing at SG, and a bunch of people, including myself, have written a bunch of different articles about how gaming has helped them either physically, to Hoag's point, mentally, through, all kinds of things. For me, a lot of escapism, which I think sometimes video games get a negative connotation for, but they shouldn't. It's just it's something that can really kind of help you curate your thoughts, especially the social aspect. For me, I'm a very social gamer. I play a lot of multiplayer. I talk about this all the time, right? So just being able to connect with friends, either friends that I've known in real life for years who are not local, or friends I've made online, and just play and veg out and, just enjoy myself without getting away from some of the other bad things that were going on, is very positive for me. So games are fantastic in that regard. And I would also recommend Dr. Rachel Cohort, who we've had on this show multiple times, her channel Zeitgeist. She is awesome, an actual doctor who studies the effect of games for Take-Two. Not Take-Two. Is it Take-Two? No, because Take-Two is the Rockstar owner, right?
They are that.
Yeah. Take This. Sorry, takethis.org, which, does a lot of work in the gaming space about how games can help. So I would recommend that as well. You guys, Travis, Dan, anything you want to say here?
Yeah, I mean, games have helped me through everything. I mean, it's literally like, I had a tough upbringing, and games were escapism and a way for me to, focus on something else and feel like I was building skills there and understanding art a little bit better. I've had a bunch of health issues in my life and spent long stretches in the hospital. Also went through PT, actually. And games were there to kind of get me through that while I was bedridden. And, just general, my kind of social failings. I'm not a very likable person, never really had a lot of friends, and games were a way for me to connect with other people through multiplayer, and also just focus on something else. Actually, I think it was Rachel that was on the show and was talking about how games kind of flip the social script on its head, where instead of getting to know a person first and then trusting them with your doing like a shared activity together, you kind of have to like connect with them first and become friends, and then you go and you do like a rafting trip or whatever. Video games forces you to, before you know a person, trust them and cooperate with them and do something together, right? Like you're winning a multiplayer match together, or you're doing a raid together, whatever. And then afterwards you get through all the other bullshit of like, okay, now who are you? And that means that it kind of allows people like me to like make friends in reverse order, because I'm not really good at making friends the traditional way. So yeah, I mean, games have touched my life in innumerable ways. I wouldn't have a fiance without the games industry. I met her through, she worked for a PR company, and I was a writer. So I owe everything to this industry. It's just, yeah, this is a very long discussion.
Yeah, I knew this one would be a little longer one. The rest, I think this is probably the most serious one out of all of our questions. Dan, anything you want to comment on here?
I mean, I haven't had any kind of experience like that. I've just been playing for so long. Started playing with my dad, back with the Atari and stuff. And then for me, it's just always been there. It's like, part of your body or an extension of yourself, where it's like, if it wasn't there, you would notice, right? Like, and I think for everybody. I mean, you get that escapism. That's 100% what it is. You know, like I don't typically like when we have issues or problems in the family, like I'm able to tackle them from a different perspective because I don't let those problems consume me, because I always have that outlet where I can just kind of get away and go, okay, let me just clear my head real quick, come back, and then that's it. I mean, it's more of like a, you know, just like eating or breathing or something, you know, it's just part of what I do now. And so, you know, I mean, but I do appreciate how it can help people. And you know, it's undeniable. You know, you see 3 great examples here and so many more, you know, probably millions out there that can, you know, have benefited from, you know, this medium. So, you know, it's great. It's fantastic. I mean, you got to have it. Like if I got rid of it, you know, tomorrow I'd be like, what am I doing? You know, I mean, I would not know what to do with myself. So
it's funny you say that, because there's those stupid questions that come up on Twitter, like you get $1 billion and you know, you have to give up pizza for a year, and it's like, well, of course, you know. But one came up and it was like $1 million, but you have to give up gaming for a year, and I actually made me think. I was like,
I could do it. It'd be the worst year of my life. I could do it though.
There's no
$1
reason.
million? I don't know if $1 million's enough for that.
No,
but
it's not.
$1 million? Yeah, I'd do it. That's like half of a house in SF. That's like real
You heard it here first, folks. If you hate Travis's reviews or him on the Bitcast, you just got to put $1 million in crowdfunding.
$1 million in front of him.
Dude, like legit, real offer. Let's go. Dude,
I got a wedding coming up.
Go.
It's an open bar. I gotta get this stuff taken care
of. Thank you for that question. Like I said, I don't have who asked these questions, but all right, let's get through some of these. So, Hogue, can you give us a short bookshelf tour? I've been curious ever since the new background showed up.
Oh.
What we got?
Sure. I have to do it in reverse, right? So the arcade machines here are 2 of my favorite cartoon-based video games. They're Dragon's Lair and Space Ace. This guy here is the Gaming Dino, which if you're on my channel regularly, you know my youngest daughter created and became kind of a mascot for the channel. It's available in the store if you like stickers. And of course, right below it is the national championship hat for your Michigan Wolverine football team. And I can do this the right way. There's a little Michigan football hat behind it and 3 Michigan-based books. So it's 3 and Out from John U. Bacon and End Zone, and books about the many, many bad years of Michigan football that culminated in, of course, this national championship. Right next to that is a series of board games that I absolutely love called Unmatched. Which takes kind of public domain characters for the most part, like Sherlock Holmes or the Invisible Man, and pits them against each other in tactical warfare on a small board. I love it. I play it a lot with my daughters. Each character operates differently, has their own deck of 30 cards, some really cool art, and it is fun to see exactly how somebody like Bruce Lee would deal with being attacked by 2 raptors. So if that sounds fun, Unmatched, check it out. I think the rest are mostly books. You've got the YouTube wooden plaque there that my buddy Rob at Lawn Lumber made for me when we got to 107,000, which is the capacity of Michigan Stadium, if you're sensing a theme. And then we have various books from my economics degree. We have law books. We have some fantasy, I think, over here. We have the fancy Lord of the Rings. We have Dune. And below that, some more board games. And I'm looking at a bunch of board games off screen here. So that's the short bookshelf tour.
Thank you, Hogue. Yeah, and sorry if we speed up on a few of these questions. We have a harder stop today than usual. So we're going to get through the rest of these questions, which is kind of funny given the last one, but we'll get to it. All right. Quick for all of us. What are you looking most forward to out of each gaming platform in 2024? So I will start, I think, with Xbox. We kind of touched on already, seeing that steady cadence of kind of new first-party games. I'm very excited for Hellblade. I'm very excited for Avowed. Very curious about Indiana Jones, so we kind of touched on that. I think with Nintendo, for me, I'm really hopeful the Switch 2. I really want to see new hardware from Nintendo, see what that is, and hope it's good, obviously. PlayStation is a very good question because I honestly have no idea. I think we've kind of joked on the show about not knowing what PlayStation is doing in 2024. So I guess my answer would be finding out what PlayStation's going to do in 2024.
We know that they're paying for an awful lot of third-party games to be exclusive to their platform, which I think tells you a little bit about what their first party's looking like this year.
Fair enough. So there you go. That's my quick rundown.
All right.
I'm just gonna say games.
I know Travis has to go, so we can go fast here. On the Nintendo side, I'm looking forward to a Switch successor. I think that's coming this year. I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what that looks like. I know we've seen rumors about what kind of power it has, but I think anything that you can move around as easily as the Switch that is even a couple generations back will be awesome for what software Nintendo makes. On the PlayStation side, I think I basically begin and end at Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That's the game of the year for me on the PlayStation platform. I'm looking forward to that. That's the end of February. And then on the Xbox side of things, I don't know. That's where I play Diablo. So I'm looking forward to that Diablo 4 expansion and the other seasons that are coming to Diablo. I'm looking forward to Starfield continuing to get upgraded and potentially get expansions in DLC as well. And that's really Xbox to me. So that's kind of living in the past a little bit, but that's where I'm at on the platforms.
Cool.
Xbox probably Avowed, I think, is the thing I'm most excited for that I know they have coming this year. And we'll see how that turns out in the stream soon. PlayStation, I'm excited, and I say excited because I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'm trying to wish it into existence. But I'm excited for them to come up with some really exciting PSVR 2 titles that are for sure going to happen and be announced. And then for Nintendo, I'm excited for the Switch 2 to not happen this year because I think it would be really funny if it didn't, because everybody keeps saying that it's going to happen.
That's just mean for no reason.
Yeah, I would like to wish the Switch 2 out of existence because I think it would be funny if that happened. But I mean, there's a lot of evidence to suggest it's coming this year. Oh yeah, Helldivers 2. That is actually a really good one. I'm actually going to be previewing that game next week.
Looks great.
So I will be able to talk about that game at some point in the future. I have not seen it yet, but I'm going to be going to the Sony office in San Mateo, driving down there and playing it next week.
Cool.
So that'll be fun.
Very cool.
I hope they capture some of the madness from the first one and the over-the-top perspective, because I think the way we've seen it in action, it doesn't look as crazy as the first one. So I'm hopeful that that's still in there.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
This one's for me, which is I probably can remember who asked this one, but what's the first sporty car you bought? What's your favorite car that you've owned? And is there something you want to try getting in the future? This is easy. So the first car I bought was a 1984 300ZX. So I've only owned sports cars, by the way. So that was my first car. The favorite car I've owned. Oh, that's not easy. Either my Porsche 944 Turbo or my 2002 M3 and maybe my current 2020 M4. So one of those. Is there something I want to try getting in the future? Of course, Porsche. It begins and ends with Porsche GT3 always. Whether or not I'll be able to afford one is doubtful. So there we are. Travis from above would like to hear from Travis. Sorry, it's worded weird. Like to hear from Travis about what he would do for a VR starter kit and the games to experience.
Ooh, that's a great one. Actually, I will do a shortcut for this one and say that if you want to know what my favorite VR games, I actually have a list of them on IGN playlist. So you can look for Ty Guy Travis's top VR games, and there will be a list of like the top 12 games that I think you should play in order. So check that out on IGN.com.
There you go. He was already prepared for that one.
Yeah.
Dan, I don't even know what this means, so you'll have to tell me. But for Dan, is Malort to alcohol what the Bears are to football?
I don't know what the hell Malort is.
Oh, he said Chicago guys will know. That's all. That's all it said at the end of this.
I mean, I gotta spell it out.
Malort. I guess it's an alcohol, so maybe that's why you don't know. Dan doesn't drink, in case you didn't know. So.
Yeah, that's my problem. Yeah. Oh, okay. Some kind of liqueur. Yeah.
I guess it's terrible.
It's a Chicago's favorite spirit. Apparently, I don't drink, so I had no idea what Malort is. But if it's garbage, then yes, it is very comparable to the Chicago Bears. So there you go. That's the best.
There you go.
Yep.
Travis, this is more of a funny one, and I know we're short on time. But I put this in here. They put this in here knowing that it would break you. You're given infinite money and a cubicle where time does not pass. How do you construct the perfect 10 out of 10 IGN live service
my
video
God.
game?
Live service video game. I've actually thought about this. I want to do a fantasy game that doesn't have like dragons and stuff in it. So if I were basing my fantasy world off of anything, it would be like kind of ancient Roman mythology. You know, it would be like gladiators and military and, you know, griffins and that sort of stuff more than or satyrs, you know, more than dragons and wizards and that sort of thing. And I think it would be really cool to do like a live service game where people create gladiator schools comprised of real players and then compete in games together. Like I want to do like a ancient Rome gladiator based live service game where you create gladiator schools and it has some sort of like, you know, loot game to it where you're upgrading and improving and that sort of stuff. And also different classes, different species. And the reason I've thought about this a lot is because I'm actually working on a tabletop RPG that kind of is in that same vein that I hope to one day, you know, release. I've been working on it a lot over the holidays, actually. So
Awesome.
that I think would be a super cool game, and I'm very surprised that it hasn't an idea like that hasn't existed. Maybe it's because historically gladiator type games or games that take place in ancient Rome don't do well. Like Rise, Son of Rome did really poorly, and I think Gladius was LucasArts' worst favorite game. But yeah,
I was going to say
cool. Yeah,
it was notable that commercial success was not a requirement as part of the question.
Exactly. Exactly. Commercial success is not a requirement. So I get to, as one of those guys who actually does think about the Roman Empire every single day, which I hate to say, I am that cliche. There we go. That's the one I would do. I think that could be really, really damn cool.
Okay. Cool. See, that wasn't that hard, right? Done.
Yeah.
Have you played a game, this is for all of us, have you played a game that challenged a belief of yours or offered a new perspective to you in your daily life? If so, what was that game?
Absolutely. I love games like that. I think I'll go with BioShock as a classical one. I think it's the best criticism of or cautionary tale of Randian objectivism that we have. And they don't. I think that's a very unique to video game thing. And that
as a
game just came out.
As a versus, I think Ken Levine and BioShock wildly misinterpret Randian objectivism. But
yeah, I mean, obviously, but I do think it's the best one we have, and the fact that it happens in games, and also it came out at that perfect time for me, which that game came out when I was in high school, and so for me, that concepts like that and economics and society, freedom versus security were like in the front of my mind, and so that just came out at a really good time, and I think expanded my vocabulary when it came to that stuff. So, you know, if now playing it's sort of like a starter pack, right? It's very basic in terms of how it addresses that stuff. But I think if that game came out when you were in high school, that's like the perfect time to play that game. I think it's fundamental.
Yeah, I mean, I'm too superficial to worry about that kind of shit, so I'm just gonna say nothing. I mean, seriously, I've never played a game where I'm like, oh.
Well, I can tell you, Hogue is going to say Last of Us Part 2 because he didn't know revenge is bad.
Sure.
He actually had never heard that before he played Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah.
You know what my biggest criticism of Last of Us Part 2 is on that cycle of violence stuff is that early on in that game, they have Ellie talk about the fact that she and Joel like to watch 80s revenge movies at the house, that they had tapes there of 80s revenge movies. And it's like, then you can't be alien to this notion. Like, none of this building of character makes sense for the rest of the 600 hours you have to play this game.
No, they were just watching all the revenge movies where revenge turned out well. There's a lot of those from the 80s. There are.
Yeah, they all just became friends.
At no point did they not have a cost imposed on the protagonist in the revenge movies of the 80s. In any event,
I'm gonna see if I can combat that. I think there might be a couple.
Okay.
Revenge is sometimes glorified in action movies, and but yeah, I agree with you that it's not a new concept.
I mean,
Revenge of the Nerds. There you go. Classic. Classic. What
That's
happened
what
to
Ellie
them
and
when
Joel
they
were
got their
watching.
revenge? No
There it
cost
is.
at all.
Part 2 as well. So there you go.
I'm sorry. Yes, Ellie was looking for her keytar the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of a little bit of a reverse of Travis. I'm sure that's a surprise. But I remember playing like Civilization 2, I would say, and thinking about how ridiculous a kind of centralized authority over all these people's lives were, and telling the farmers where to farm and that kind of thing, which I think led me to economics as my undergraduate degree. I mean, that was part of the road to getting to that place. So I'm going to say that for thinking about these things on a structural basis was Civilization as a rhetorical attack on totalitarianism or authoritarianism. And of course, Nobuke Morgan and the various folks that operated in the Alpha Centauri universe as well all lead into that kind of conversation.
I got to be honest with you. I'm not having one that immediately comes to mind. I think there's a couple games that come to mind relating to being a parent and the strains on that about loss. Obviously, for me, hit me in a different way. So there's been some of those that have been pretty meaningful. But generally speaking, I don't have one that kind of jumps out that gave me a different perspective, I would say, but just kind of emphasized a perspective I would say. So chat, I want to thank you for hanging out with us. We actually have a harder stop today because Travis has an appointment he has to get to. So we actually do have several more questions I want to get to. We will save those for next week. So we'll have a little fun next week and just save those because I don't want to make Travis late for this. I will say the last question I was saving for today, because I forgot about Travis's time, is finally, did hashtag make Bitcast a 3-hour show actually work after all? Because if you look at our last 4 or 5 episodes, it's pretty much nearly 3 hours, all of them. So
I think we were coming in at 4 pretty close on some of those.
On one of those,
we are not that interesting. We are not that interesting. Period.
We have a lot of feedback saying they like the longer
Dan's
shows.
in charge of PR.
Yeah, you guys are out of your mind, but we appreciate you. So.
Yeah, we do appreciate it. And by the way, the one comment we got was, you all are a shining beacon of lasagna in this dark, endless Monday of a world. Stay seasoned, y'all. So I like that comment.
I like to think that's from Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
I want to shout out Mariana Pampa, my Halo partner in crime, for gifting 5 season gamer memberships while we were answering questions. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. And Bizzle had our last super chat, which we can close out with.
Yep, $10. I've been around SG for a while now, and I've enjoyed getting to know all of you a bit more over that time. Thanks for sharing and a little bit more about yourselves today. Bizzle, you've been here forever, man.
He's an OG, man. He is an OG.
SG. That's right.
No doubt. Thank you, Bizzle. Good to see you, brother. All right. Let's go ahead and wrap this up so Travis can get going. So for season gaming side, pretty quick, check out my Prince of Persia review. The written review's up today. The video review goes up tomorrow. It'll show some more of the features. No spoilers, but some more of the game if you're interested. And then we did record Cast Co-op this week. That's up on the channel as well. Luke had something outside he was doing. So me, Joe, recorded with Logan, the other half of Xbox Expansion Pass. So that's up on the channel if you want to check that out as well. Travis.
Yeah, I've got a whole bunch of stuff I can't talk about, but I'm going to start being able to talk about it next week, including some big news about a live service game and some other previews and Palworld I'll be able to start talking about because it'll be officially out in the live environment. So yeah. A lot of stuff.
Yeah, so we'll talk more about we've got a few things we can talk more about next week.
I've also got more Skull and Bones coverage coming up that I'm excited to share.
And we didn't mention it, but we get the Diablo season 3 live stream this week too. So next week we'll have Diablo, Palworld, Skull and Bones. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. Hogue.
Yes. So as I said last week, I did a couple videos on my channel this week, one about Mickey Mouse, Steamboat Willie, and copyright, and another about the OpenAI lawsuit put forth by the New York Times and whether or not AI and large language models overall are illegal under the current Copyright Act, as the New York Times kind of proposes. And so I had a lot of good conversations there. I think they are good episodes. If either of those topics interest you, come check it out on the channel. I also appeared on another YouTube channel, a popular one called Midnight's Edge, to talk about the copyright issues and Disney and Steamboat Willie overall. So if you'd prefer to listen to me over there, that's also in the playlists on my channel. You can check that out. And as per usual, I'll be doing more videos this week. I did mention in a community post on my side that I've moved them a little later to 10 a.m. now because that gives me a little bit more time to prepare in the morning. And I'm still kind of working out exactly how all this stuff works around increasing law work and therapy and everything else that I'm still doing. So might be down to one episode a week a couple of times in the near future as law work picks up, but we're having a good time at the channel. Lots of people there, lots of good folks and good conversation in all those videos. So come check it out. I think we're getting back up to speed pretty good.
Love to hear it, dude. Love to hear it. We got a super late super chat from a Vincent J.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you.
10 euros from Vincent. Thanks, folks. Thank you, Vincent.
Vincent.
Appreciate that, man. So thank you very much. With that, Travis is literally getting picked up in like 30 seconds. So
his Uber's there. He's got to go.
He's
Literally.
got to run.
See you guys.
Thank you, everyone, for
Bye.
hanging out. We will see you next week. Hope you enjoy your gaming. Until then, thank you for all the support. Love you guys. Till then, peace.
Slap.